And everywhere we are seeing the interactions rising at all levels. Our industry is doing quite well. Very recently, we had our Minister, External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, who visited 4 of your countries. And there, today, when we have the focus, we thought that at this chamber, which tries to act as a bridge between the industry and the government, apart from flagging various opportunities, we should also have an interaction. And I'm so happy to see so many of you taking the interest, and that should convey a message to the distinguished diplomats from these countries that there is a significant interest in exploring the opportunities in your countries, not only at the government to government level, but also at the industry to industry level, B2B level, which is what really makes things work. And we are very fortunate to have some of our colleagues in the chamber who have spent quite a lot of diplomatic capital in those countries. Ambassador Khatua is very well known to all of you. We have our Director General of the Chamber. He has served in many countries, Mr. Dilbag Singh. I have personally not been appointed to any country. I was about to go to one, but then I was asked to go to somewhere else. But when I was Trade Commissioner in New York, that time I was looking after, from Director T-Board, the countries, and I traveled. Excellency, please, welcome. And so I had an occasion to travel to many countries in the region and found a tremendous regard, and which is what now, you know, when Dr. Jaishankar went recently, he was asked, why are you so late in coming here? So we are seeing that, and which I'm sure our chief guest, Ambassador Srinivas, who is working very hard to promote this idea of greater collaboration, will be informing us about the government's initiatives in this regard and what all can we do together. But one of my other friends who has been part of the diplomatic corps and been an ambassador in several places, he very interestingly put together a few facts. And I'm quoting him, and I would not say Ambassador Vishwanathan, he's been there. And he had written, which is very beautifully written, so which gives you an idea to especially the industry. And he has written that India's exports of $552 million to the distant Guatemala and are more than twice that of the exports of 198 million to the neighboring Cambodia, with a population of 16 million, and Guatemala has a population of 11 million. It further says that US dollar 318 million exports to Honduras, with a population of 10 million, are more than exports of 235 million to nearby Kazakhstan. So you can imagine. Exports to Brazil, US dollar 6.48 billion, are higher than to the traditional trade partners such as Japan and Thailand. Exports to Mexico, about $4.43 billion, are more than the exports to Canada and Russia. Russia has, of course, now taken over most of the countries in the last year, but these 21-22 figures indicate that. So Latin America accounts for 1/3 of India's global exports of cars and motorcycles. Its contribution to India's energy and food security is increasing. As we diversify our sources, India is highly dependent on imports of oil and gas, and so therefore it is extremely important. Likewise, the supply of vegetable oils. We eat a lot of oil. Pulses, fresh fruits, they are all contributing to India's food security. Lastly, I must say, most of you, those who are posted here in diplomatic missions, know that how fond Indians are of gold. We are the largest consumers of gold, and we have started importing gold from your country for over $50 billion, roughly, India imports. Copper, so many minerals and others are there. So I would like to say that even though some of our friends who are a part of the G20, Argentina, Mexico, and Brazil, and Mexican ambassador is already traveling, and he has sent his colleague here, and we are very happy to welcome him. We wished And we will try again to organize the second event as a follow-up. But in the meantime, I would like to thank you so much. And we look forward to listen to all the stalwarts and all the ambassadors and representatives, commercial representatives, chargé d'affaires, about the opportunities in their country. And thereafter, we will have an interactive possibility for all of you with the representatives here and diplomats. And I hope you will find this to be more useful for expanding your business footprint. Thank you once again for joining us. We are indeed thankful to you.
Thank you so very much, Ambassador Anil Trigunayaji. We are so thankful to you for your efforts and dedication in making MIICCIA what it is today, sir. Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me immense honor and a pleasure for me to announce Ambassador G.V. Srinivas, Additional Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs, to kindly come at the podium and present his speech. A huge, huge round of applause for Ambassador G.V. Srinivas.
ambassadors of Latin American Caribbean countries to India, businessmen, colleagues, and friends. The event organized by MIICCIA today, you call it MIICCIA? Is very timely, coming right after the visit of External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to 4 countries, beginning with Guyana, Panama, Colombia, Dominican Republic, and articulating extensively what his vision is for enhancing India's trade and economic relations with these countries. Those who did not have time to go through those speeches, I invite you to dig them up. They're all available on the MES website. If you simply go to MEA website and say Latin America, all of them will pop out. So do go through. So as I was saying that this is very timely, coming right after that visit, and also preceding another major conclave that will be happening on 3rd and 4th of August of India-LAC Business Conclave. So I must say that this will set the tone. It will also help me relay many of the things which keep coming to my mind, just as I try implementing the vision, the direction, the instructions that Minister has given to us. And one of that instruction, ever since I joined, I have been hearing him, must be also he articulated in the past, particularly ever since he began traveling the region, beginning with Mexico, then the 3 countries, Paraguay, Brazil, Argentina, and the last 4 countries said, indicated publicly that he has plans to add more countries in the times to come. So his instruction has been singular, which is to say that the India, Latin America, and the Caribbean relationship has to be predominantly trade and economic. The other relationship will follow or will naturally progress. Bilateral trade, as we speak today, is $50 billion. As Ambassador Trigunath alerted, that is pretty impressive number, but not necessarily the optimal one which we can actually achieve. So Minister himself has indicated that maybe by the end of the decade, we must target at least $100 billion, then to be on par with the other major relationship that India has, whether it is USA, European Union, China, they're all hovering around $100 billion. So we are not far behind as we speak of India and Latin America and the Caribbean region. We all know that investment follows trade. The investment figures, the fine one would not be available because many of the investments in the region happen not necessarily directly from India there, and therefore not captured by the RBI data, but whatever we broadly know based on interaction that our ambassadors have with these companies, etc., can be put around $15 billion. So can it grow proportionately to $30 billion by the end of the decade? Now, these 2 targets, if we were to keep to ourselves, can it happen by itself, or do we have to do something? Can we have business as usual of promoting trade and economic relations as we have been doing hitherto, or there is a case for correction? My argument in the rest of the presentation would be that perhaps there is a case for correction. Of course, the systems, the platforms of promoting trade and economic relations continue to be the same. In the end, one has to have face-to-face connect. one has to have the trust to have a partner so that nobody can obviate. But to reach to that level, can we really do a better job than what we are doing? And I think we can. Are we doing it? I don't think so. How can we really do that? An obvious answer. There are many such platforms are available. They have to be deployed centrally. आ जाओ यहीं आके बोल लो यार, कम आके बोल जाओ यहीं से, बैठिए आप आराम से. Comfortable. ठीक. I was saying that the investment follows trade, but trade is preceded by travel. So there the element of tourism comes in, and investment invariably is the vehicle for attracting technology. Invariably, technology does not fly by itself. It comes through some manner of investment, and trade is preceded by travel, getting to know the country, and the travel itself is preceded by information exchange. Before coming here, speaking to some of the colleagues as to what is it that will interest them as I speak here, what they say is the opportunities. What are the opportunities that are there for the businessman from here in Latin America? And if you speak to the Latin colleagues, vice versa in India. And my question is that, is this the only platform that you have to find the opportunities? If that be the case, then already we are not using any of the other available means. Information exchange, we already have a number of platforms which we use. So information dissemination coming to this age of technology is pretty straightforward, simple. Maybe there's overflooding of information. Maybe the information comes to you when you do not really have the time to digest it. And when you really require it, when you're thirsty for it, it doesn't even come to you. So the just-in-time arrival of the information is the most important thing. I was trying to build on the argument of our Honorable Prime Minister, who has spoken extensively about the need for Indian missions, and for that matter, the Government of India machinery to focus on triple T: trade, technology, and tourism. The broad principle behind that is on these lines. What I was just articulating, that we need to use the existing information sources. Of course, then you have to double check, confirm your travels, etc. But you don't have to come to, even for that matter, this event uninformed. You could have done a lot, including, as I said to you, reading the speeches of the past, if you're really keen on that. But even that actually is difficult. As we speak of information easily being available, there's also information fatigue. That too much of information, useless, irrelevant, coming to you, so that when the right one comes, you don't even pay attention to it. So can there be a mechanism that the right information of your relevance is the only one which comes to you in time? You're able to look it up when you require it. Does such platform exist? If it doesn't exist, the question which begs an answer is why it does not exist. And even if it does, so once we wake up today, perhaps we can still build it up. So the idea is that we must create such a mechanism wherein every stakeholder, government, embassies, export promotion councils, chambers of commerce, regional included, small and medium enterprises, the apex chambers of commerce, top MNCs, all of them will be there. And once you have a lead coming from any of the areas, the lead will be coming from you. Sometimes you will be the consumer of that lead, sometimes you will be the generator of that lead, depending upon what the whole case is. But once that is generated and pushed through this system, it will reach instantaneously to the right person, provided he is provided the relevant tool to only be given that information. Invariably, for example, we receive that milk powder is in excess in India, and about who would be the one able to consume that big power stocks and inventory that we have. And by the time we do this mathematics, a couple of weeks are already gone, and the expiry date is soon tickling in. Something of this nature will be very easy to be handled via this system which I'm speaking about. We have vaccines, for example, very precious, valuable vaccines which have limited shelf life. Any vaccine for that matter, not this particular one. If we do that thing at that time, digging out, etc., becomes difficult. So can we use these systems? There may be other problem that there are leads generated by our counterpart countries, partners. The scale may be very small. So we have invariably the problem of the matching of the scale. The lead is too small to merit any interest of the apex chambers of commerce or the big multinational companies. That's what we hear. Even forget about even the decent sized company would also say that it is not worth its time. At the same time, there may be companies in India which is actually not only MNCs and the big companies, but also huge small and medium enterprises are all there who may be desirous of receiving that information. It never reaches them. So that connect of the right size lead reaching the right size company. And if we take this responsibility onto ourselves that no lead which has any relevance to India, Latin American, Caribbean corridor would go dry. Every lead will be utilized. We automatically see that we are talking of the incremental addition to the growth. We are no longer talking about the known areas, pharmaceutical, information technology, auto, two-wheelers, four-wheelers, all these are known chemicals for that matter, oil and gas. The known sectors are well serviced. But the idea is that what is the incrementality that I'm bringing in as I go year after year, edition after year, edition. When we organize events of this nature, can there be a mechanism that I benefit from what had happened from the last time? Whenever there is a visit by some minister or a big business delegation, can the subsequent delegation going there can benefit from what all transpired in that point of time? How did we really work on those leads which were generated from that point till the next visit? So informed visits, delegations are extremely important. All that will be possible only if we use technology. Because we know that as I'm speaking here, if you have to keep all that information manual on the top, either you're extremely bright like a Google yourself, then you're good to go without anybody really supporting you. But supposing an average kind of functionality, it will be required that we have the support of technology on this count. Building on that thing, same is the market survey. Our missions generate market surveys. Export promotion councils, chambers of commerce, they all commission market surveys on the various areas of interest to them. What happens to them? What is the fate of those market surveys? Are they really then reaching the right people? Planning of the business delegation itself has to be an informed exercise, not total in the past. Because Government of India, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, as also Ministry of External Affairs, we all mount delegations with the help of the Chambers of Commerce, Export Promotion Councils. Can we make sure that these delegations which are mounted are कब से नहीं सुन रहे हो यार? अभी की पहले से ही कमाल है, पहले बोलना था आपको. हेलो, देखो भाई कुछ हो सकता है तो देखिए, मैं कोशिश करता हूं, but then they will complain that I'm too noisy for them. So if something can be done so that the voice goes beyond, will be helpful. Thank you. Is it too irritating for you here in the front? Okay, thank you. So building on that quickly, so planning exercise has to benefit from the information that we have, and which all will be churned through this mechanism. The better B2Bs, that I really have much to really tell myself to begin with, but to all others also. The B2Bs which we speak of perhaps can benefit tremendously by advanced preparation. Before you actually go and meet your counterpart, a lot can be done. A lot can be known about him. A lot can be known about their business. Correspondence can be established. Communication can be done. And then only you arrive at that point of time. Then you can have much more traction. Whenever there are B2Bs or exhibitions, they have to be supplemented by company visits. For example, why should a person be coming all the way from a foreign country in Latin American, Caribbean, 15,000 kilometers to India just to have chit chat or a conference setting or a B2B, which can be done technologically in any case? But what cannot be done is that you can't really show what that person says, a visit to the company. But by the time he comes here and he has done the math, he is so tired that he wishes to run back to his home. Rather than that, the visit to the companies must be centrally thought through, not only by the organizers, but also those who are coming here, so that they make the most of it. And I forgot before, travel and information, there is the issue of visa. It needless to mention that the visas need to be there. It has to be at least predictable. I mean, if it is predictable, one can do the calculation, but it's unpredictable, another loss on that count exists in our trade and economic relations, gets impacted by this unpredictability of the visa. And every bad case really creates 100 other people who do not wish to go. And therefore, if predictability can be established so that I have a reasonable assessment. I will get visa or I will not get visa. If I get visa, whether it will be honored, I will be able to travel, I would not be able to travel. That information itself as a broad parameter, if it is relayed by the concerned country's embassy, that will be extremely helpful. So that those who do not have any chance, they will rather not waste their time tying up everything and trying to pick up the bag and go there, when they, in the end, the entire thing falls down. The same thing is true also of the exhibition for that matter. Many of the companies want to go participate in the exhibition. So they should first do, can I get the visa to go there? Then only they begin the rest of the things, samples, having a stall. And which basically means that most of our activities will have to begin with a lot of lead notice. So it cannot be 15 days, 20 days kind of thing, because travel indeed is not necessarily so easy. It is challenging. When I was talking about this system of creation of all the stakeholders in this technologically built up platform, you will see that automatically multiple byproducts also come in, including the fact that if any number of companies are interested in India from abroad, and those who are interested from India in that country, this automatically creates the virtual joint business councils. So we don't have to have the static joint business councils with the members who are no longer interested in particular corridor, and we are wasting time on them. We can actually be having people who have invested the time, energy, resources in servicing that corridor. So joint business councils, essentially a grouping of the business on the other side, periodically meeting, interacting to see how things can move forward. Exhibition events, once you travel, you should make most of it. So is there another event happening around? If not in that region, nearby? No, this becomes like a rocket science suddenly, whereas it should be pretty straightforward. I am in that particular place, what all can I possibly do? We do that for our own travel through Google, and go to a place, they will throw 20 options of restaurants which are available. Why can't that happen in the case of when we travel abroad? Indian platforms, as Ambassador Trignath asking me to mention, are already known. For example, MIICCIA, the capacity building programs of India are very generous. They're all inclusive, fully covered, full expenses paid, depending upon the size of the course, 15 days to a couple of months, etc. Can also be the platforms for people to travel, relevant people to travel to India and do all that I had just mentioned a while ago. I have practically covered, I think, everything that I had in my mind. And if anyone has anything to say, go ahead. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the motive of today's conference is to explore business opportunities in not just the Latin American countries, but also the Caribbean countries. So it gives me immense pleasure to call upon His Excellency Dr. Roger Gopal, High Commissioner, Trinidad and Tobago. Let me just give you a small brief about Trinidad and Tobago. Is well, home of the world's hottest pepper, home of the world's largest brain coral, home of the world's largest deposit of asphalt, and yes, home to oldest rainforest reserve in the Western Hemisphere. I again request His Excellency Dr. Roger Gopal, High Commissioner, Trinidad and Tobago, to kindly come up on the stage. A huge round of applause.
Ambassador Srinivas, Ministry of External Affairs, President of this very esteemed chamber, my fellow ambassadors, diplomats, captains of industry, ladies and gentlemen. I say namaste, good morning, and as we say in Trinidad and Tobago, sitaram. Yeah, that's your opportunity to respond. And our program director said that Trinidad and Tobago is the home of one of the hottest peppers in the world, known as the scorpion pepper, and the largest brain coral in the world, yes. But we are also home to Brian Lara, for those of you who are quite familiar with cricket. We are also the home of Sunil Narayan, but we are also the home of our great literary genius, V.S. Naipaul. Those of you who would appreciate his work. But what many of you may not know, that we are the home of the Trinidad and Tobago Night Riders, owned by Shah Rukh Khan. Yes, so Trinidad and Tobago is not so far from India. And while we enjoy this relationship with India, just as a quick point to note, this relationship actually started in 1845. So we had the opportunity to taste India, to welcome India, to grow with India for almost 178 years. So I'm very proud today that we have this opportunity to not just reflect on that relationship, but now take this relationship forward. I especially appreciate the speech given by Ambassador Srinivas. I think, as we say back home, he hit it on the nail. It is exactly what we are supposed to do. The last visit by the Honorable Minister of External Affairs to the Caribbean region actually amounted to a direct impact in terms of the relationship. We have seen this. And with the help of Ambassador Srinivas, I do have representatives of our Ministry of Digital Transformation already here in India participating in that particular sector for the development of our region, and of course, partnering with India in every way that we can. Now, as we focus our attention on opportunities, economic opportunities, basically, from the conversations that I had this morning, it was mainly on the expansion of business, and naturally it should be. That is what it is. But if we are looking at selling, just export from India into Latin America and the Caribbean, then we are missing a critical opportunity. Because we must remember, like when I walked in, someone asked me, what can I sell to Trinidad and Tobago? And I did not mean to be rude or abrasive, but my response was, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. What I could do is to provide a framework of sectoral developments. But then it is up to each one of you and us to identify what are the differentiating factors, what will add value to you, your business, as well as to Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, Guyana, Suriname, Colombia, Cuba, and the rest of Latin America. It is a deeper conversation rather than what can I sell. So on that note, let's begin. Today's focus on Trinidad and Tobago. Next slide, my friend. Yes, next slide. I'll give you a very brief background. We are also home to the only Hindu temple literally built in the sea in any part of the globe. Yes, you should be clapping for that. In addition, this is an 87-feet statue of Lord Hanuman, which is approximately 26 to 27 meters high. It is the tallest Hanuman Murti built outside of India and the tallest in the Western Hemisphere. In addition, what you see on my right, that would be your left, we celebrate in Trinidad and Tobago on the 30th of May, what we call Indian Arrival Day. In other words, it is a national holiday celebrated by every nook and cranny, every creed and race, and every religion that belongs to Trinidad and Tobago. And what you see on my left, your right, Diwali is also a national holiday in Trinidad and Tobago. Why is this important? It is important that you know that there is a significant diaspora that exists that understands the culture of India to a large extent. So when you get to our region, you feel at home. So as we move on, this is the location of Trinidad and Tobago. As you can see, we are just outside of South America. It is a very strategic location because it forms the gateway to the entire Caribbean, as well as South America, Central America, and of course, North America. Now, the population of Trinidad and Tobago isn't too significant. We heard of other countries, 10 million, 11 million, 15 million. Trinidad and Tobago, 14 lakh, 1.4 million. Now, you might think to yourself, that is not even a oomph of what Delhi is. Why would you even want to come to Trinidad and Tobago? Well, think about this. We have access through CARICOM, which the Caribbean countries represented here would attest to. You have access to almost 44 million people directly. That's the CARICOM market, Caribbean Community Market. In addition, due to our agreements and MOUs with most of Latin America, you have access to almost 1 billion people. So therefore, if we look at Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean as the gateway to the Americas, you are not looking at 1.4 million people, 14 lakh, you are actually looking at accessing close to 1 billion people. And hence, there was a point in time when Trinidad and Tobago was the second largest US investment destination in the Western Hemisphere. Let's talk a little more about our country. For Trinidad and Tobago, our total GDP, as it stands right now, is 26 billion US dollars. Yes, it's significant. Our exchange rate with the rupees remain at 1 Trinidad and Tobago dollar to 10 rupees. In addition, our literacy rate is at 98%, and our tertiary education participation rate is at almost 60%. It is a highly educated and sophisticated labor market and country. But more so, in Trinidad and Tobago, our first language is English. Just as a side note, someone asked me, don't you speak Hindi? So, no. But you look Indian, why don't you speak Hindi? Well, Hindi was not the language of my foreparents. It was not. Bhojpuri. So we still have songs in Bhojpuri. Yes, our music is in Bhojpuri. But we do teach Hindi now, just for the record. As we move on. Good. Now, let's take a look quickly at why Trinidad and Tobago is a place to pay particular interest to. Our gross domestic product, our GDP per capita, as of right now, stands at 16,000 US dollars. This is per capita. So while Trinidad and Tobago did take a major hit at the downturn of the oil and gas sector, we recovered, and we're still doing very strong. It is estimated by the year 2025, our GDP will be close to 18,000 US dollars per capita. Let's move on. Now, I want to focus on key sectors that you would be interested in. The reason being, I listened carefully to Ambassador Srinivas, and he was right. This cannot be a shot in the dark. You walk into a room, you shoot all around and hope to hit the target. It cannot be so. This must be precise. We have to get the right information. What is relevant to you, what is relevant to me, and what is beneficial to both our countries. Our three key sectors that I would focus on is in manufacturing. Secondly, services, namely financial and hospitality. And of course, we are very large in the oil and gas industry. Next. Next. Okay. Oil and gas. This is the key economic driver of Trinidad and Tobago. 37% of our GDP depend on this industry. Now, while we do have large players, example BP, Shell, etc., there are many opportunities for Indian businesses which are in Trinidad and Tobago right now in terms of the downstream industries. In fact, we have a large number of Indian businesses in Trinidad and Tobago that provides services to the oil and gas industry. So don't just simply think in terms of the exploration and extraction, but also think in terms of the services that you can provide in this particular industry or this sector. Let's take a look at trade and investment. What are we particularly interested in? Educational collaborations, hospitality, finance. In fact, Bank of Baroda operated in Trinidad and Tobago for many years. It was recently bought over by another bank. Film. We are currently working on collaborations between Film TT in Trinidad and Tobago and Bollywood. And Ambassador Srinivas rightly said, you have to think outside the box. We don't just have to sell textile or furniture. What else is there that is so unique that we can offer? Why not film? In fact, Shah Rukh Khan did a movie in our country. We are hoping Amitabh Bachchan do one soon. And I'm hoping to get a role in it, but they did not think so. I wasn't too short or not good looking enough. Pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, and ICT. Next, move on. What are the opportunities in manufacturing? The list is, go back please. The list is there. I will not read. I'm sure that you can, and these slides can be shared to you. So these are the opportunities that you can look at that augurs well for you. In terms of logistics and transshipment, Trinidad and Tobago, move on. Trinidad and Tobago has three main ports. Deep, calm harbors characterize us. And also, we have one of the most developed maritime infrastructure. Let's move on. And again, right. In terms of our financial sector, because a number of businesses approach us in this area as well. Just for the record, these are some of the major banks in Trinidad and Tobago. Republic Bank down there is one of the largest banks in the Caribbean and is owned by Trinidad and Tobago. RBC and Scotia Bank, that's owned by Canada. GMMB, that's owned by Jamaica. Citibank, US. Answer Bank, Trinidad and Tobago. And New India Assurance, that is India. So it augurs well for us when we can say that these international players are functioning one of the most robust, one of the strongest financial sectors in the Caribbean. Now, why come to Trinidad? This is our utilities. The green is our electricity reliability. And the red shows the electric power losses. Because of respect, I did not put the names of the other countries in our region, but this is where we are compared to many countries. We lead. Why? Because we produce oil and gas. So therefore, our electricity is highly reliable and cheap. Next slide. What you see here, that's our cost of labor compared to other countries in the region, and our utility cost, which you can see is much lower. So it is an incentive to come to Trinidad and Tobago. Next slide, you will see 1.4 million people. Yet our mobile connection, how many people own a cell phone, is at 1.9. In other words, we have more cell phones than people. Our internet users, 1.08. And our active social media users, which is almost 1 million. It's a highly developed and technological country. Let's move on. I'll move on from here. And I'll move on from there. Right. Most businesses and investors had asked, what is there to protect them? In 1997, we had a trade agreement that still stands strong, most favorable nation status. In 2007, bilateral and investment promotion and protection agreement, which right now is being reviewed for renewal. And in 2012, cooperation in the field of traditional medicine, which is big in Trinidad and Tobago. And to almost conclude, next slide, this is what India imports from Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you. Minerals, mineral oils and products, etc., etc. And this is what India exports to us. Iron and steel, mainly pharmaceutical products, and the list goes on. There are tremendous opportunities. And where you cannot easily identify an opportunity, then create one. It is a good chance for us to reestablish strong ties between Trinidad and Tobago and India. Next slide. Right now, our governments work closely with each other, and we are hoping to continue that relationship as we go into the future. So I say today, once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for allowing me this presentation, and I hope that we engage each other even further. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, His Excellency Dr. Roger Gopal. Trinidad and Tobago is definitely in my bucket list now. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to call upon His Excellency Mr. Jason K.M. Hall, High Commissioner, Jamaica. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have you at the podium, sir? And of course, you asked me, what is Jamaica famous for? Well, the birthplace of reggae, Bob Marley, world's fastest sprinters, Blue Mountain Coffee, Red Stripe Beer, Jamaican Rum, beautiful beaches, luxurious all-inclusive resorts, and majestic waterfalls. It is my immense pleasure to welcome His Excellency Mr. Jason K.M. Hall, High Commissioner, Jamaica. Oh, not here. All right. I would now like to welcome His Excellency Mr. Claudio and Sorina Montero, Ambassador, Republic of Costa Rica. And yes, Costa Rica is not just famous for its Arenal Volcano, Manuel Antonio National Park, Monteverde Cloud Forest Biological Park, Monteverde, Tamarindo. We are so honored to have you here in our country, sir. And you're looking very handsome.
Namaste, everybody. Good morning. Respected Ambassador Anil Trigunyayat, Mr. Srivastan, Ambassador Noor Ram, Ambassador Amaradan Catwa, esteemed ambassadors from other Latin American countries and the Caribbean, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me as an ambassador of Costa Rica to India to address this esteemed gathering at the MIICCIA Business Conference on Exploring Business Opportunities in Latin America and Caribbean. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the MIICCIA organizers for inviting me today. Latin America and the Caribbean region have always held a special place in the global business landscape, known for the rich cultural heritage, vibrant economies, and immense potential for trade and investment. It is a privilege to be part of this session that aims to explore and unlock the vast business opportunity that exists between our region and India. Costa Rica, a small but dynamic country in Central America, offers a myriad of investment prospects across various sectors. Our nation has been recognized globally for its commitment to sustainability, innovation, and social progress. These values align closely with the aspirations of and ethos of MIICCIA community, making it an ideal platform for fostering mutually beneficial collaboration. In recent years, Costa Rica has witnessed remarkable growth and stability, creating an enabling environment for business and entrepreneurship. Our strategic location, our social and political stability, and skilled labor force make us an attractive destination for trade and investment. Furthermore, our commitment to environmental conservation and renewable energy has positioned Costa Rica as a leader in sustainable practices, opening doors for businesses that prioritize environmental responsibility. However, the trade between India and Costa Rica still remains very low. We only export to India like $40 million, and we import like $130 million. Commodities that Costa Rica exports are timber, medical devices and scientific devices, paper products, computer hardware, iron, and steel, among others. India exports automobiles, agrochemicals, drugs, pharmaceuticals, and healthcare and scientific equipment. Our agriculture sector, with its focus on sustainable practices, high value and quality exports, presents significant opportunities for collaboration. Costa Rica's premium coffee, tropical fruits, and other food products have garnered global recognition. Exploring partnerships in these areas can create a win-win situation for both our regions, enhancing trade and fostering economic growth. Additionally, Costa Rica tourism industry, known for its natural beauty, biodiversity, and commitment to ecotourism, offers immense potential for Indian businesses in areas such as hospitality, travel, and adventure tourism. We welcome collaboration that promotes sustainable tourism practices and cross-cultural exchanges, further strengthening the bonds between our nations. For instance, Costa Rica is receptive of an upcoming World Tourism India Summit to be hosted by the Indian Ministry of Tourism this year. And we hope also that the newlyweds that marry here in India will consider Costa Rica as a honeymoon destination. The service sector represents, and also the manufacturing sector represent a great opportunity for Indian investments, which can obtain great tax incentives and the benefits of a free trade agreement with North America and Europe and other Latin American countries. I should say that we already have 22 Indian companies in Costa Rica and a diaspora of more than 700 residents in Costa Rica. As we gather today, it is essential to recognize the importance of dialogue, understanding, and building lasting partnerships. By leveraging our shared cultural ties, historical connections, and complementary strengths, we can forge new avenues of cooperation and joint ventures that benefit our economies and societies. We welcome collaboration with this Chamber of Commerce, particularly in the disseminating information about Costa Rica's buyer trades mission among its business partners, entrepreneurs, agencies, purchasing managers, and import-export managers. Every year, this buyers trade mission brings together Costa Rican exporters and buyers from across the world. The 2023 edition of this buyer trade mission is planned to be in September 27 and 28th, adopting a hybrid format and offering excellent opportunities for B2B meetings in sectors. So we welcome all of you to come these days in September. It is a great opportunity to start doing business with Costa Rica. We invite the esteemed members of this chamber and all participants to explore the untapped potential that exists between India and Costa Rica. We hope to utilize this opportunity to engage the meaningful discussions, foster business linkages, and create a pathway for enhanced trade and investment. We would be happy to support and facilitate resilient and innovative initiatives that promote bilateral trade, strengthen cultural ties, and deepen people-to-people interactions. In conclusion, I express my sincere gratitude to MIICCIA for organizing this conference. May it serve as a catalyst for faithful collaboration, opening doors to future where our nations can prosper together. And to end this, I would like to show a little video that summarizes all of these ideas that also can stimulate you to start putting Costa Rica in your agenda. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and please contact us for the September conclave in Costa Rica on the trade buyers. The GDP of Costa Rica is about $60,000 million, $60,000 billion. Any other questions? Excuse me? Population is 5.2 million, yes, like a quarter of Delhi. Thank you. Excuse me?
Age factor.
Age factor. Well, probably 50% of our population is below 35 years. We have a growing older population going, which creates a lot of pressure also on the social security system that we have. We're very proud of two things in Costa Rica. One is, maybe you will know this, that Costa Rica is the only country in the world that abolished its army voluntarily in 1949 after a civil war that we had in 1948. And that enabled us to spend, instead of weapons, we spend it more on wealth and education, on health and education, I'm sorry. And that makes us a little bit different from many other countries that have to stand the instability sometimes that the military have in each country. And also, we're able to have almost 99% of literacy and healthcare for everybody in the country. So those two things, I think, makes us a very particular country. And exports are around 17 to 18,000 million dollars. Yes. And we have increased our manufacturing sector in the export sector, in medical devices, especially life science equipment, which we export to India. Tourism is about 25% of the GDP is related to tourism, directly or indirectly. And in that small country of Costa Rica, we have already 65 five-star hotels. So we have an excellent infrastructure in tourism. And that's why I'm trying to see if Indians start to get married in Costa Rica, because I know that you spend a lot of money marrying. And so, yeah, we're trying to see if we can get all of these honeymooners to Costa Rica. Please let us know if you have any family in that situation. The trade agreement with U.S. is a very favorable agreement for foreign investments, because you get a lot of tax incentives, right, to export to United States, as long as you do some part of the manufacturing inside Costa Rica. So you get a tax incentive for all the equipment and machines that you have to bring to produce anything. And then you have open access to United States. It's like instead of having your company in United States, you have it in Costa Rica, which the labor force is much less costly. And also you have other benefits like the weather and the lifestyle and the places to go with your family, with good education for your kids, and also good health care, etc. And you're only about 2.5 hours from Miami, Los Angeles, or Houston. So actually, you know, it's a much better place if you want to get into the U.S. market.
Gentlemen, we'll be taking some questions a little bit later on. We have many diplomats
Yeah.
waiting.
I don't want to take more of your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir. I would now like to tell you about Guatemala. Guatemala is mostly unique for its unique culture of both Spanish influences and Mayan heritages. Breathtaking scenery with jungles and volcanoes dotting its landscapes. And of course, Guatemala is the birthplace of chocolate, where it was first used by the Mayan culture, ladies and gentlemen. I now would request His Excellency Mr. Omar Castaneda Solares, Ambassador of Guatemala, to kindly come and give us the information about Guatemala.
Well, good morning to everyone. It's such a great pleasure here, dear Ambassador Anil Trigunayat, President of MIICCA. I hope I said it correctly. Additional Secretary Srinivas, what a pleasure to see you. Distinguished ambassadors and high commissioners, distinguished members of the different entities of commerce and business present here, and an honor with your presence. Good morning to all of you. I came to India just about 5 months ago. I presented my credentials on February 15, 2023 to Her Excellency, the President of India, Madame Drupadi Murmu. And in these last months, I certainly believe that is a great connection, a great inspiration to work together. Guatemala, the name of my country means a place of several trees in Mayan language. And when I came to India, I felt very strongly identified with this majestic culture that I have seen in the last 5 months here in this beautiful country. I was during the weekend in an amazing place called Ayanta and Elora in Aurangabad. And forgive me if I spell incorrect the name, but it's an amazing place where we could see the millenarial wisdom of this country, of this civilization. My country actually is also the epicenter of the Mayan civilization. We have many similarities with India, our people, the warmth of our traditions, and of course, since the establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Guatemala in May 16, 1972, we have arrived at 51 years of diplomatic relations this year. This has been a productive time where also many Indian nationals have come to my country. They have seen the different places that we can offer. They have seen the beautiful nature and the majestic Mayan heritage that we're sharing for all the world. So I can tell you with all certainty, as we say it in Spanish, you are welcome. Bienvenidos a Guatemala. I would like to inform you that since we have established our resident embassies here, during the last year, 2022, a commercial exchange was registered between both countries equivalent to $675,009,300. Guatemalan exports were about $20 million, 55,400, while also goods imported from India are worth 608,953,000 US dollars. In the last 2 years, Guatemala has increased its business climate and competitiveness. We actually have established several laws in our National Congress in order to attract more incentives. Many of them are related with the merchant marine law, the reform to the regulations of the free trade zone law, a preferential interest for social housing law, and law for the strengthening of strategic infrastructure. We also have an important law that generates more competitiveness, which is the anti-red tape law. And there are 3 specific ones: the law for the promotion of foreign investments that allow many companies to invest in Guatemala. And we have developed a very important strategy that is called the nearshoring with United States and other countries. And we are expanding this vision with other countries in this part of the world. Important is also to inform you that, let's go with the next slide, please. We have also reduced the 65% time and cost reduction for companies that would like to invest in Guatemala. And also we have digitalized many of the processes that unify several requirements and procedures of different institutions in the country. So instead of going through different entities in Guatemala, you can go only with one entity, which is our National Office of investment. It's called Pronacom. This is helping the investors around the world to find ways to establish and view their investments in a more transparent way. And there is a virtual single point for attraction and consolidating investment projects in Guatemala. Guatemala is located in the center of the American continent, as we can see there, and we are a gateway for several different free trade agreements. We have a free trade agreement with the United States. We are also a gateway to the largest market in Latin America, Mexico. We have preferential access to the Central American market, and also Guatemala could be an access to the European market through the association agreement between the European Union and Central America. And also we recently signed a free trade agreement with Israel. We have different logistic ways for connectivity, 2 international airports, 9 local airfields, 11 cargo airlines operating, and one of the largest maritime cargo operation in the region in 3 ports. Our main port in the Pacific coast is Puerto Quetzal, and we have a main port in the Atlantic Ocean, which is called Puerto Barrios. Considering also that many of my fellow colleagues here, diplomats also are going to present the different PowerPoints and presentations, I would like to summarize in one video the attraction for investment in Guatemala. So this summary is going to be presented to all of you right now, please.
Guatemala, Central America's engine, welcomes you to the preferred global investment destination. Located between the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans, Guatemala offers an array of logistical and productive opportunities. In challenging times, our country has continued to show resilience and determination. We have established ourselves as an ideal destination for investments, with a diversified economy, a strengthened industry, and a promising service sector. We are the largest economy of the region, where 4 out of 10 products are made in Guatemala. As global value chains are shifting, we have prepared to embrace industries seeking nearshoring as an alternative to supply important markets. Our pharmaceutical sector has proven its efficiency, confirmed by the presence of more than 42 companies that comply with international standards and supply foreign markets such as North and Central America. We have also become one of the best destinations for the outsourcing of services activities. Our government is determined to attract more investments, with incentives and ease of doing business. Guatemala has embarked on a revamping of its infrastructure to become an intermodal logistic platform. Competitive energy costs, preferential access to main markets, and our political and macroeconomic stability makes us your first-class business location. We are prepared to be your next investment destination. Invest in Guatemala, Central America's engine.
Thank you very much for your attention. And for any more information, certainly we are at your disposal, at your orders in the Embassy of Guatemala, and you can also scan the QR code for more information. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Namaste.
Thank you so very much, His Excellency Mr. Omar Castaneda. Now it's time to explore the Dominican Republic, yes. Rich history, beautiful towns, delicious food and drink, coffee, chocolate, cigars, abundant natural beauty, and of course, the lowest and the highest in the same country shows the geographical of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to welcome His Excellency Mr. David Emmanuel Puig-Buchel, Ambassador, Dominican Republic. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly.
And you've done your research well about the highest point and the lowest point in the Caribbean. Well, thank you very much. It's a big pleasure to be here. Ambassador Trigunayat, Director of MIICCIA, Additional Secretariat S. Srinivasa, ambassadors, diplomats from the MEA and from the different Latin American and Caribbean mission. Well, I think it's very important to have such interactions, not only because we're able to present our countries, but I will say more importantly, because in the pauses before the event started, we can meet, we can exchange, we can talk, we can network, and then we can continue the conversation in our offices and take things further. It is good to see so many businessmen, to see businessmen that have recently traveled to Dominican Republic, like Mr. Girish Bajaj, who was in the Dominican Republic with the delegation of S. J. Shankar. And it's also good to know that people like him are going to travel again to the Dominican Republic, which means they are identifying some good opportunities. And it is only by seeing each other in person, by having this kind of events, by having travel delegations, by having the CII conclave, that we can keep the momentum of this, I would say, Latin American, Caribbean, Indian relations that is definitely going through a very, very, very good and exciting moment. So, about the Dominican Republic. Well, it is always a bit difficult to speak after many colleagues have spoken and have presented their PowerPoints and their videos. And it is always very difficult to talk after our colleague from Trinidad Tobago because, well, you know, Dominican Republic has no cricket, has no Indian community, sizable Indian community, doesn't have a NIPOL, so a Nobel Prize of Indian descent, doesn't have the Knight Riders and Shah Rukh Khan. Well, so overall less historical and cultural connections, but anyways, I would say equal good opportunities. And this is what each of our countries, with its particularity, bring to the table to India and to the Indian business communities. So let me just start by a few words, very brief words, some snapshots about what is the Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic is it's a country that shares an island with another country, with Haiti. So it's quite an unusual geographic setting. There are very, very, very few countries in the world that actually share an island. As a reference, the Dominican Republic is more or less the size of Belgium, and it has exactly the same population as Belgium, so around 10 million people. It is a democratic, stable regime with presidential regime with elections every 4 years. Next year, we're going to go into our electoral cycle. And growth, Dominican Republic has been one of the countries in the LAC region with the highest growth rate in the last decade. And just to give you an example, according to the World Bank, 2022, the Dominican Republic grew at 4.9%. 2023, the growth is expected at 4.4%, and the prediction is that we will grow above 4.5% in 2024. Despite its modest size and its modest population, the Dominican economy is ranked 7 in the region, in the Latin American and Caribbean region. And also to give you a sense of the wealth of the country, or of the development level of the country, the GDP per capita is this year around $10,000 per person. So what is fueling the Dominican economy? What are the main sectors that are driving our growth? So a very, very important sector for the Dominican economy is tourism. And it might come as a surprise for many of you that in 2022, we received 7 million tourists, which is an all-time record for the Dominican Republic. And it's quite particular if you take into account that the country only has 10 million people. And of course, the goal is to continue growing. We are developing in tourism. We are developing new touristic areas. We are developing ports for the cruise tourism. And we are also tapping into eco and nature tourism. And this is an area in which I keep on saying there is very, very good opportunities for Indian companies. Of course, for the major hotel groups in India who are starting to develop property outside of India, starting by the region. You see Sri Lanka, you see Dubai, but there is no reason not to look at destinations further away, which offer a steady growth pattern in the tourism industry. Then manufacturing, and manufacturing is very important because we have a free trade agreement with the United States, with the Central American countries, and with the European Union. And this has allowed the Dominican Republic to attract a lot of FDI, foreign direct investment. Last year, we attracted 4,000 million USD in FDI. And the reason being that a lot of companies choose the Dominican Republic to manufacture and to send their goods free of any kind of taxes to all the countries with whom the Dominican Republic has a free trade agreement. Again, here, there is no reason why Indian companies are not looking at the Dominican Republic and making use of this advantage, since we have companies from Korea, from China, we have companies from your neighbor, from Sri Lanka, who are into the textile and garment industry, who are manufacturing in the Dominican Republic and sending their products to the United States. We are mainly manufacturing traditionally textile and shoes, but we are slowly moving into other products like electrical devices, medical devices, and pharma. And also in our free trade zones, we manufacture cigars, and we are the first or the major producers of cigars in the world at the moment. We also have a booming logistics sector, and we are selling ourselves as some kind of regional hub for the Caribbean, Central America. We are located between North America and South America. We've made great progress with our connectivity, our ports. The main port in the Dominican Republic is owned by Dubai company, is DP World. And this is the route that a lot of the trade coming from India, coming from Asia, is using to get into the Dominican Republic, but also into Caribbean. And the last sector, which might not be as important in terms of its share in the GDP, but that offers very, very good opportunities for Indian companies, is agriculture. Because you have needs for fertilizers, you have needs for machinery, you have needs for packaging units. We're talking about that with Mr. Bajaj. We're the first manufacturer of cigar, as I just mentioned. We are exporting avocados, we are exporting organic cocoa, we are exporting bananas, organic and non-organic, organic fruits. And something that is quite surprising to me, and it's something new. We have now Indian agricultural companies who have decided to set foot in the Dominican Republic and to export from the Dominican Republic to Europe mangoes, to acquire land to produce what we call Asian vegetables that are consumed by the South Asian communities in Europe, and manufacturing or growing in the Dominican Republic and exporting from the Dominican Republic to USA and to Europe. The reason being that it's faster and cheaper to export those products from the Dominican Republic to Europe or to the US than from India to Europe. Just to give you an idea, I think that today, if you want to ship any vegetables by sea from India to Europe, it will take you around 30 days. From the Dominican Republic, it will take you between 12 and 15 days. So it's half of your time and half of your cost. And those are ideas that are a bit outside of the box that we don't immediately come up with. But businessmen are finding these routes, are finding these ideas, and I think we should definitely have a closer look and encourage those ideas. Trade between India and the Dominican Republic has been growing steadily. In 2021, we reached the landmark of $1 billion in bilateral trade. Last year, trade went a little bit down because a lot of our exports to India are gold exports. Some years we export more gold. Some years our gold goes to other destinations. But overall, we have, for the size of the Dominican Republic, quite a strong trade. And India has been, depending on the year, our fifth or sixth or fourth trade partner, which is quite significant. Other than gold, we export to India other minerals. We export recycling materials, recycled plastic. We export cocoa beans. And of course, we export cigars, and we export rum. The imports we are getting from India are similar from the export other countries in the region are getting. We import mainly pharma products, two-wheelers, processed food, and tobacco products. What are the investment areas that we'll need to look on and where we have opportunities? We'll just list them and will not go into detail, but IT and software development and contact center and delivery centers offer good opportunity in the Dominican Republic for Indian company wanting to service the US market. As I mentioned, manufacturing in the sectors I already listed, mainly for export to the US market. Agriculture, as I just said. Infrastructures, I think India has very, very, very successful infrastructure companies, and we are developing roads, ports, new touristic centers with airports, railways. So definitely there, we will be keen to see more Indian presence in the Dominican Republic. Power transmission, you also have companies that have done very well in Africa and even in our region. Renewable energies, and as I said already, hotel and tourism. Now, just to conclude, a few words about the Indian-DR relations. Well, Indian-DR relations are quite new. We opened our embassy in Delhi in 2006, 2 years after we formally signed our relations in 2004. But we're really, really happy to see the way that we've traveled in the past 15 years. And for us, the main sign or recognition that India is taking the Dominican Republic seriously, that India is considering there is enormous potential in the Dominican Republic, has been the opening of the embassy of India in Santo Domingo in 2022. And of course, the recent visit in April as part of a country's tour to Latin America and the Caribbean of S.J. Shankar, Minister of Foreign Affairs of India, to the Dominican Republic. This visit will definitely give a new impetus to our relation. The visit was one of the main focus of the visit was trade. Minister Jaishankar came with a trade delegation. There was an agreement signed between CII Chamber and the Confederation of Entrepreneurs of the Dominican Republic. So we are very seriously working in establishing institutional and business-to-business ties between the Dominican Republic and India. During this visit, a set of sectors were identified between our president and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of India, between our minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of India. And it is now up to us and up to you that we can definitely take this relation forward. And other than trade, I would like to say that we also have identified new areas of cooperation. We're talking of partnering in defense, in health, in oceanography, in artificial intelligence and IT. Those are areas of cooperation, but that, of course, also entails and also implies business components. So I think the future is bright. We need to continue engaging. Our mission is here in Delhi. We are at your disposal. In terms of visa, we are predictable and I will say fast, or we try to be fast. So you're all welcome in the Dominican Republic. Thank you very much.
So you've got your phone though. Thank you so very much. So we would love to visit Dominican Republic. And I would now like to call Mr. Peter A. Bailey, Minister Councillor, Jamaican High Commission, to please come up and give us the next presentation, sir. It's a pleasure.
Okay, Chief Guest, Ambassador Srinivas, President of the MIICCIA, Ambassador Srigu Nayat, members of the Diplomatic Corps, High Commissioners, Ambassadors, other diplomatic staff, and importantly, to the media and the business community represented here this morning, which is really the core target audience for this morning's conference. Good morning and namaste. Let me apologize for the absence of my High Commissioner, who is absent due to extremely unforeseen circumstances, but he sends his greetings. Now, India and Jamaica has enjoyed very cordial relations since the establishment in 1962. Now, these ties are embedded in very deep cultural and historical basis. Notably, during the period 1845 and 1917, several Indian nationals traveled to Jamaica as indentured laborers in search of a better life. Today, the Indian diaspora in Jamaica is it's a very big group which have over the years contributed to the national development of Jamaica. As a result, there are several Indian influences which are very evident in our culture, particularly in our food. We may not have the very hot pepper from Trinidad, but we also have a palate for very spicy food. And as a result, as the moderator said earlier, that Jamaica is known for its excellent cuisine. And I'm sure if you have ever tasted Jamaican food, you'll be stuck on it for life. Yes. As a result, in 1995, the government of Jamaica designated May 10 to celebrate Indian Heritage Day. Now, the relations between Jamaica and India have in recent times been expanded with the visit of the former Indian president, the Honorable Ramnath Kovind, in May 2022. On the business side, also, we had a recent delegation from the Indian Economic Trade Organization to Jamaica. They met with several members of industry, with key government officials, including the Minister of Industry, Investment, and Commerce. And that group, along with the Latin American and Caribbean Trade Council, is planning to do a trade mission to Jamaica at the end of next month. And so there are prospects for the expansion of relations with India. And of course, we're very grateful to the president and the staff of the MIICCIA for organizing this event this morning so that we can have a discussion, dialogue on the opportunities for trade and investment in the Latin American and Caribbean region. Now, to get to the meat of the matter, why is Jamaica an ideal location for investment and the gateway to the Caribbean and the wider Caribbean for Indian investment? So I'll share with you some of the principal reasons why Jamaica is the ideal location for investment. And the first is that we have an open and transparent investment regime. Secondly, a stable and supportive democratic government, an educated and trained workforce of 1.32 million people, and that figure was in 2021. Of course, we have a population of 3 million, almost 3 million, and if you were to include the Jamaican diaspora, a population of 7 million. We're the largest English-speaking country in the Caribbean. We have a robust telecommunications infrastructure with built-in redundancy, a strong road infrastructure across the island. In addition to that, we have a debt to GDP ratio of 79.9%, and this was for the fiscal year 2022-2023, and we're well on track to achieving the target of 6% or less for the 2027-2028 fiscal year. Now, Jamaica has achieved a remarkable economic recovery from the pandemic and the global economic shocks of the past 3 years. For the period January to December 2022, the economy grew by approximately 5.3%. We saw increases in services and goods produced in industries of 6.2%, 2.4% respectively. Growth was also propelled by agriculture, forestry, mining, fishing, and manufacturing. Jamaica has also had 6 consecutive years of pre-pandemic growth and investment over US 17.4 billion, and we're talking about foreign direct investment in 2021. There are no foreign exchange controls, zero restriction on foreign ownership and assets. Jamaica also has an economic residency program and no restriction on the repatriation of profits. In addition to that, we have a slate of trade agreements which offer preferential access to the North American market, to the wider Caribbean, and also to Latin America. Now, just to share with you the names of a few of these trade agreements, we have the Caribbean Single Market. We have CaribCan, which is a free trade preferential agreement with Canada, the Caribbean Basin Economic Recovery, which is with the United States, and we also have trade agreements with the EU and UK respectively, along with bilateral trade agreements, that's CARICOM bilateral trade agreements with Colombia, Venezuela, Costa Rica, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic. Now, to look at some global recognition that Jamaica has received in the last few years, for the stock market, the Jamaica stock market was globally ranked #1 in 2015 and 2018 by Bloomberg. And this speaks to the business-friendly and sound fiscal environment in the country. In terms of starting a business, Jamaica is ranked 6th globally by the World Bank in its Doing Business report. And in terms of public-private partnership, Jamaica is currently ranked 4th in Latin America and the Caribbean for its capacity to successfully undertake public-private partnerships. And this ranking was done by the Economic Intelligence Unit. In terms of credit rating, Fitch affirmed Jamaica's long-term foreign currency default rating at B+. The rating outlook is very stable. Now, Jamaica is also strategically located, which makes it an ideal for investment in the Caribbean. There are 3 international airports receiving 400 flights weekly via 40 airlines within 4-hour flight radius of 500 million of the world's population of the Western Hemisphere. Jamaica has the #1 transshipment point in the region with a capacity to process 14,000 20-foot equivalent units, container ships, and total port capacity of 3.2 million TEUs per annum. Jamaica is also home to the 7th largest natural harbor in the world, the Kingston Harbor. We also have 6 cargo ports, 5 cruise ports, 25 shipping lines, 100 weekly port connections for both cruise and commercial ports. Needless to say, Jamaica is a bankable location. And to borrow from the words of the Burma song, Bank on It, you can bank on Jamaica with confidence that your investment will reap tremendous effect. Now we're going to move to a few of the sectors which have been highlighted by the government of Jamaica as crucial to our growth and development. And there are 8 sectors. We have agribusiness, energy, film and animation, infrastructure, logistics, manufacturing, outsourcing, and tourism. So I'm going to quickly just speak very briefly on these sectors. And we will begin with the agribusiness sector. Now, what is the value proposition of the agribusiness sector in Jamaica? Now, the ideal ecosystem and microclimate for unique produce, which influence the taste of crops, enables the supply of a variety of fresh produce in high demand globally and supports year-round agricultural production. And I'm sure if you were to have tasted, or if you have had the opportunity to taste the Jamaican coffee or premium rum, that you will agree that the climate or the geographical indication of these products make them globally accepted and globally known. Very wonderful products. Now, there's ease of access to the key markets of the United States, Canada, CARICOM, and Latin America, as shared previously. And Jamaica enjoys United States Department of Agriculture, Food and Drug Administration pre-clearance for a range of agricultural products exported to the United States. Now, there is a lot of land available in Jamaica for agriculture. In fact, the total arable area being 90,000 hectares. Now to move to film, animation, and music. This sector is the 3rd largest contributor to GDP in Jamaica. Jamaica possesses high potential talent to meet growing diversity of demand and a high ease of doing business with strong local capacity. Now, the Film Commission of Jamaica enjoys a track record for ease of doing business, facilitating over 100 international production per year, including the recent high-profile films such as James Bond and Marvel Luke Cage. And just to share with you an interesting fact about James Bond. James Bond was born in Jamaica. And I mean, you'd wonder, how is it that James Bond was born in Jamaica? Now, the first James Bond film, Dr. No, was filmed in Jamaica. And in fact, the last one, Not Time to Die, was also filmed in Jamaica. So we can safely say that he was born in Jamaica and he died in Jamaica. No, importantly, the creative economy receives very strong support from the government of Jamaica, and investors in this sector will have access to custom duty relief, special economic zones, and other investment regimes, international trade agreements, and a UK co-production treaty, which has been signed by Jamaica with the UK, of course. Now, Jamaica is the most ideal location for filming. And you notice that I say location and not country. Right? So you can film in Jamaica and not say that you have filmed in Jamaica. It has a very beautiful land and seascape, and one will find beaches, mountains, rivers, jungles, rocklands, metropolitan cities, rural countryside, urban grit, with a maximum 2-hour drive from the two major airports in Kingston and in Montego Bay. Now, on the side of music, Jamaica is deemed to be the most musical country in the world per capita. This is as a result of the 14 musical genres and the world-renowned musical icons such as Bob Marley. And I'm sure we all identify with Bob Marley. Whether young or old, we know the song One Love, One Heart. Let's get together and feel all right. All right, so there's significant opportunity in this sector for investment in Jamaica. Now, I'll now move on to mining. Jamaica has rich mineral endowments, including bauxite, alumina, and one of the world's purest deposits of limestone, as well as vibrant colored marbles with unique grain. Now, with respect to limestone, Jamaica has over 50 billion tons of proven high quality and reserves, which can be applied to the manufacturing industry, pharmaceuticals, and the industrial industries. Now, in terms of digital services, business processing, outsourcing, Jamaica is the leading outsourcing destination in the Caribbean, with Kingston in 2018 being ranked as the Nearshore City of the Year and recognized as a BPO City of the Year. Jamaica is also the third largest, English-speaking country in the Western Hemisphere after the United States and Canada, with a robust telecoms infrastructure and a large labor pool of trained tech-savvy workforce. Now, for manufacturing, the Jamaican brand, as you know, is synonymous with excellence and is well known all around the world. This sector benefits from a supportive business environment, inclusive of special economic zones legislation, which facilitates opportunities for creating, manufacturing, and distributing hubs, a strong regulatory framework, and a logistically supported market link. Now, I'm told that there are 2 questions. I'm not sure if I take the questions at the end or... Huh? At the end. Oh, 2 minutes. Oh, sorry about that. I saw questions. Okay, the tourism industry in Jamaica, of course, is a well-known brand and has been doing very well over the years, despite the fallout during the years of the pandemic. Just last year in 2022, Jamaica had 3.3 million visitors, which is way beyond the population, well, a little beyond the population of Jamaica. There is particular interest in certain subsectors of this sector, including the meeting, incentives, conference and exhibition market, ecotourism, faith-based tourism, medical tourism, and high-end boutique hotels. In terms of logistics, Jamaica boasts the winning combination of being a strategic location, first-class infrastructure and attractive incentives. The island is ideal for final stage logistics customization for the wider Caribbean, given the trade agreements with several countries with access. In terms of infrastructure, Jamaica has a strong and comprehensive slate of incentives, as well as local financial ecosystem to finance infrastructure deals. Now, the country's public-private partnership program is placed fourth in the InfoScope rated in Latin America and the Caribbean, owing to the dedicated government resource support from the Development Bank of Jamaica. And the final sector is the energy sector. Jamaica has a liberalized energy industry with an independent power producer, which provides 30% of the baseload capacity. Now, there has been a focus by the government of Jamaica on renewable energy, and this focus is in line with our national energy policy or international climate change commitments, and also the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly goal number 7, which deals with transition to clean and affordable for Indian innovation, whether it's business B2B, G2B, G2G, or what we also call H2H, which is heart to heart. Jamaica is one of the few places on the globe that you will visit and automatically feel all right because of the warmth, hospitality of the people, the rich cultural experience, rhythm of the music, the vibrant dance moves, the delectable cuisine, and its captivating and stunning natural beauty, which makes Jamaica the best place to live and to do business. Who wouldn't want to be somewhere where you can have the best time of your life and do business at the same time? So we welcome you to invest in Jamaica. The Jamaican High Commission here in New Delhi is open. We have an open door policy. And so we are willing to engage with you so that you can do business in Jamaica. Thank you very much. In terms of, well, there is no visa requirement for Indian nationals to visit Jamaica. And there are, in fact, quite a number of routes that can be utilized to visit Jamaica. Of course, you have through the UK, through transiting through the UK, Canada, the USA. You have another route, which is through Amsterdam, from Amsterdam to Curacao or Panama, and then from there to Jamaica. There's also another route, which is from Delhi to Istanbul, Turkey, from there to Cuba, and then from Cuba to Jamaica. So there are several routes. So there's no problem with connectivity. And of course, there's no visa requirement. Jamaica is open to welcome Indian people and businessmen to invest in Jamaica and to visit Jamaica. Ambassador Trinivas earlier spoke of the importance of travel to the areas that businessmen, have a desire in investing. Thank you very much. And should there be any other questions, we'll take them at the end.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Bailey. I would now like to call Shri Akash Taneja ji, Additional Director General of Foreign Trade, Ministry of Commerce, for the next presentation.
Very good morning. I was able to hear the presentation of the delegate from Jamaica, and it was really very interesting. I'm sorry I missed quite a bit of the conference, but here I am. It gives me immense pleasure to address this distinguished gathering of dignitaries who have come together for the Millennial India International Chamber of Commerce and Industry and Agriculture on this very auspicious International Day of Yoga. This association is reflective of our common commitment and will to deliberate on newer ways of deepening our economic engagement. India and Latin America countries have traditionally shared very cordial relations, and I'm pleased to share that India's economic ties with the Latin American Caribbean region have grown manifold since the turn of the millennium. Both regions have assiduously overcome the limitations posed by the geographical distance to build mutually rewarding bilateral partnerships that exemplify South-South cooperation. And our trade is now almost US dollars 40 billion in 2022-23. We are touching that. And I had the privilege of accompanying the Honorable External Affairs Minister on his visit to Latin America in August last year, and where he had expressed his intention that our trade with Latin America should touch 100 billion with the Gulf. 142 crores. And the population of that region is about 67 crores. And together we constitute nearly 26% of the world's population. Larger population generally means a larger market for goods and services, and it creates more opportunities for businesses to sell their products and increase their exports. The dynamics of global trade have changed significantly over the past few decades. Latin America and India have emerged as the new nerve centers of global trade, both in terms of production and consumption. These regions are rapidly becoming major importing economies, fueled by robust domestic demand, and are better positioned in terms of economic competitiveness. This sustained growth has also led to a growing demand for resources, energy, and infrastructure in these countries, and has enlarged the scope for South-South cooperation in trade and investment, leading up to a more connected and globally integrated world. So LAC region for us is a key source of natural resources and raw materials for the Indian industry. Out of the 40 billion trade, which I mentioned, it's about 17.5 billion were our exports to LAC region, most of which were to Brazil. So there's a huge scope for India to increase our trade with other countries in the LAC region. And about remaining 23 billion were our imports from the Latin American countries. So we import crude oil, copper, edible oils, and other raw semi-processed material from the LAC countries. And for our exports, the LAC region is a major market for manufactured automobiles, pharmaceuticals, machinery and related engineering products, textiles and value-added products, apart from services such as software. Yesterday, day before yesterday, we had a delegation from Chile visiting the Department of Commerce. And there we have, India is a 2 trillion economy, but the trade between both of us is just about, we need to do some out-of-the-box thinking. And we are going to focus on sectors like services. With the fee coming in, there's a tremendous scope of the service sector taking off. With investments from both our investments in Latin American region and investments from the Latin American countries in India. So our economies are great, very complementary, and we have similar demands from our low and middle income populations. Now, distance is a major non-tariff barrier for trade between India and the LAC region, but we can overcome this factor together by exploring the possibilities of building shipping links, but they require a huge investment. So if we have a critical mass with the Latin American countries, these logistics will automatically follow. There will be people willing to invest in shipping, in airlines, direct connectivity. So increasing our trade with Latin America is one of our major now focus areas for the Department of Commerce. Now, as a part of our commitment to South-South cooperation, we continue to assist countries in the region, the capacity building initiatives. We are able to overcome the limitations, build mutually rewarding relationships through cross-border project partnerships, joint venture with LAC companies, improved transport connectivity, joint R&D, and innovation. Now, in the next few years, core areas of path-breaking innovation would be artificial intelligence, genome sequences, renewable sources, conservation of energy, as our colleague from Jamaica mentioned. Department of Commerce looks forward to having more bilateral institutional engagements with the LAC countries and establishment of the joint economic and trade committees. So we are almost finalizing the JETCO with Dominican Republic, Cuba, and Guatemala. We are also reviving the MOU with Colombia, and we have JETCOs with Costa Rica and with Peru. So as we all know, India is now the 5th largest economy of the world. The government of India is passionately working in areas of trade, commerce, economics. And through this platform, I would also like to invite the delegates and the trade and industry to the CIA-led India LAC Conclave, which is scheduled to be held on 3rd and 4th of August, and to participate in the B2B, G2G, and the G2B sessions. So I thank again all the esteemed participants and Ambassador Amren Khatwa to have invited me. He was a senior colleague in the Department of Commerce earlier, and he's the founding member of this chamber. So I wish all the best to everyone here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bienvenidos. Welcome to Venezuela. This country is known for being the home of the Angel Falls, the world's highest waterfall and one of Venezuela's major tourist attractions. Well, also, it is known for the magnificent tabletop mountain, their success in beauty pageants, and the famous Venezuelan food. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to welcome His Excellency Mr. Alfredo Caldera Guzman, Charge d'Affaires Embassy of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Buenas tardes, good afternoon, namaste. Venezuela is a country open to the future, located in the north of third of Latin America and the Caribbean Sea. It has a socio-economic model based on the principles of social justice, democracy, efficiency, free competition, environmental protection, productivity, and solidarity, in order to ensure real human development and dignified and provide assistance to the community. Currently, the country is in a process of economic diversification to optimize the potential that we have as a nation. Our main export industry is oil. We are the first world receiver, but we will still have another exportable resource that we make a coal, aluminum, gold, coltan, and coke. In the agricultural area, we have an important exported supply of high quality coffee, cocoa, and sugarcane. Venezuela have developed a multi-destination tourist destination with a great diversity of beach, jungle, and cities that provide a unique experience in the Caribbean, for beginning a multicolored country and mega diverse, with a variety of excellent landscapes and infrastructure, hotel, which is supporting constant growth and improvement, to which aided the most attractive and varied cultural expression, as well as biodiversity. It's an ecosystem that places, if an example, as the 6th country in the world with more space for birds. Such as comparative advantage present in 3 countries in the world, in addition to having cosmopolitan cities close the most important tourist attraction, gives Venezuela the status of highly competitive multi-destination tourist country. In addition to exuberant sun and beach, and along thousands of kilometers of sandy coastline and countless islands, Margarita Island, Los Roques, almost other. The country has great potential for ecotourism, natural tourism, and adventure in jungle areas, Amazonia jungle, Canaima, Angel Falls, in the Amazonas and Bolívar state, desert and semi-desert. Venezuela is currently receiving tourists from many parts of the world, by air or by sea. It's our country, we are prepared to receive them. Venezuela, under fall in the price of the oil in the international market, promulgate an organic law for the creation for 5 zones to attract invest to the country and balance the development of the region. While the organic law of the special economic zone, the dependence of oil rent that has characterized the national economy of the last many years, can be reduced to forget the great challenges for the Venezuela product power. Venezuela is a project country with resources and great potential for a new development to create a different produce model, clean and harmonious with modern Earth. And a special economic zone is a space to promote technological, intellectual, economic, social, and cultural development, where the Venezuelan state facilitates the creation of companies with the national and international capital in a system of regulation beneficial of two of the parties. The economic zone and a system based on the coordination and governmental synergy will allow an effective territorialization of economic and industrial policies. But the sector is one in shares of different ministries, as well as those that emanate from the rest of the territorial life of the government to promote the productive revolution. The special economic zone is strengthened by three important aspects: agro-productive development, education, and respect for the environment, and priority the following sector. One, sport or selective substitution in sport. Two, technology and technology process with high Venezuela attribute. Three, energy, hydrocarbons on daily basis. Four, alternative energy. Five, electronics, commerce, and strengthening of small, medium, and micro enterprise. The five special economic zones that currently exist in Paraguaná, Puerto Cabello, La Guaira, Margarita, and Tortuga Island. The common denominator is the clean industrial and tourist development, with the respective water treatment plant, advanced water treatment system, and promotion of the use of renewable energies, together with the traditional energy matrix. Some of the tax incentives of the special economic zones are reductions to the tax on 100%. The idea to advance is a different produce model, which generates good living to the people and allow the strive replicate every experience in the other latitudes of the territory, taking advantage of the great credit to characteristics of Venezuelan people, the protagonists of our destiny. These are then some of business opportunity in Venezuela, a country open to the future.
Thank you, His Excellency, Mr. Alfredo. We now venture to Colombia. Colombia, which is famous for its arepas and specialty coffee, as well as the kindness of its people. It's known for its diverse landscapes and culturally rich heritage, where art, music, and theater mix. It is also a home to an exotic breed of pink river dolphins. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now welcome Her Excellency Miss Alejandra Maria Rodriguez Sierra, Shah de Fer, Colombia. You're looking beautiful.
So thank you very much for this introduction. I am very honored to be here today in this seminar exploring business opportunities in Latin America and the Caribbean countries to India. My name is Alejandra Rodriguez Sierra, Charge d'Affaires of the Embassy of Colombia to India. My special thanks to Ambassador Anil Triguranatha, also to Ambassador Katua. My compliments to Ambassador Srinivas. Sorry. Now? Thank you. So, my special thanks to Ambassador Trigunayata, Ambassador Katu again. My compliments to Ambassador Srinivas, Additional Secretary MEA, and all the members of the Millennial Indian International Chamber of Commerce, Industry, and Agriculture for this invitation and all the coordination behind this very important event. I want to take this opportunity to remark on the special moment in the relationship between India and Latin America that is reflected today in the growing interaction and exchange at the political, commercial, and cultural and migratory level. Certainly, this kind of initiatives, as this seminar, this important seminar and interactions contribute to continue strengthening our connection and exploring new areas of cooperation. Allow me to mention that trade volumes between India and Latin America are approaching the 50 billion USD dollars annually. India and Latin America have never been more important to each other than today. Indian companies are investing significantly in our region, from energy to mining to agriculture and service sector, demonstrating the potential and complementarity of our association. In the case of Colombia, our relation of more than 65 years of diplomatic relations embrace commitments in several areas, including health and pharmaceuticals, agriculture, mining exploration, education, science and technology, culture, and aerospace developments. As Ambassador Srinivas mentioned before, last month of April, we received the visit of Honorable Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, to Colombia, to Bogota, with a delegation of a lot of businessmen and Indian companies that are now, I think more of them are here present. An unprecedented milestone in our bilateral relation that confirmed the nature of and the potential of our engagement. Colombia and India enjoy a friendly and long-standing relation in which economic and commercial link has been a fundamental pillar. Over the years, we have maintained a steady growth with a remarkable increase in the last decade, especially in the financial year of 2021-2022, when we reached a trade volume of 4 billion USD dollar, a figure that makes us the third destination for Indian investment in Latin America after Brazil and Mexico. Colombia has already become one of the most important destinations of Indian investment in Latin America. As I mentioned, the portfolio is relevant but also diverse, including sectors such as automobile, agrochemical, pharmaceuticals, BPO, software and telecommunication, consultancy, and hydrocarbons, among many others. Just in Colombia, we have more than 30 Indian companies with presence in our country. One of the most famous, of course, Mahindra, Bajaj, ONGC, the Videsh, and many others. Without a doubt, it is a direct investment that we welcome because it involves three fundamental tiers. One is the transfer of technology to our country. The second is the creation of course, new job opportunities. And third, the incorporation of Colombia in a biggest or global value change. However, what we consider is the biggest potential of the Indian investment in our country is the possibility that Colombia could become an Indian hub on the provision of goods and services to the entire Latin America region from a very strategic position in the middle of the Americas, with a lower operational costs and with a strong and stable institutions and legal security for investments. Dear colleagues and friends, we are pleased to register that our bilateral relations are undergoing an excellent, very good moment. We have nothing but an optimistic approach to our relationship with India, a nation that share our democratic values, our confidence in multilateralism, and bring its capacity to bear on the international system for the global good. Today, President Gustavo Petro, President of Colombia, seeks alliance to improve and accelerate energy transformation and sustainable way, fight against deforestation, and reach the most ambitious agreement possible to curb climate change and defend world peace. India is a very relevant ally in this field, partner in this field. The fight against any disease, including, of course, COVID, has relevant the importance of the health, science, and technology to ensure development, save lives, sustain household incomes, and enable people to return to their daily lives. This has posed a severe challenge, especially for developing countries, to properly access to medicines and vaccines, of course. Examples such as the cooperation between India and Colombia reveal that developing countries can join forces and cooperate for the benefit and welfare of our people and our humanity. When it comes to trade, our exchange could be much more important. We intend to continue to deepening bilateral trade and convey future agreements. Meanwhile, we have been working on trade facilitation, such as the establishment of the phytosanitary requirements for the imports of fresh fruit from Colombia, teak wood, flowers, and many other products. We are working on that with the Ministry of Agriculture and with the Ministry of Trade. Just to mention, India is the fourth destination of our exports in the world. It's the first in Asia. And Indian investment is the fifth in our country. So for sure, India is a very important partner and yes, partner to us. On the other hand, strengthening industrial policy is another of the central axes of the guidelines of the new government, prioritizing the modernization and technification of our Colombian countryside and the recovery of levels of food security. The growth and positive transformation of the agriculture sector in India in recent years is undoubtedly a global paradigm from which Colombia must learn. I am happy to see that there are a lot of agriculture and agrochemistry companies here today. For sure, it's an area where we want to cooperate more with India. Dear Excellencies and friends, as Colombia has experienced an unprecedented level of growth, we see how our exchange, work opportunity, and migration mobility are increasing between our countries. We can see how everything is improving and getting better. More and more people are arriving in Colombia to work and create business opportunity, and more tourists are attracted by the beauty of our lands. Our countries can benefit from each other's opportunity. Also, we think that the green economy and the tourism is one of the focal areas we can collaborate with India. Finally, as Minister Jaishankar mentioned in his visit to Colombia in last month of April, the challenge before us today is to scale up what we have already done, but at the same time to look for a new domains that make emerging demands on and equally factoring emergency capabilities. At the end of the end, business will grow where it's welcome, where it's mutually beneficial, and where it's encouraged by policy. I think is the case of both our countries, Colombia and India. So thank you very much. Ambassador, thank you for this opportunity and congratulations for this wonderful interaction.
Thank you, Her Excellency. Cuba. Cuba is known for its crystal clear beaches, delicious cocktails like the mojito, the unpolished beauty of the old Havana. Cuba is also famous for its music, for the revolution, and the cigars of unrivaled quality. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to welcome His Excellency Mr. Abel Abal Despian, Deputy Head of Mission, Charge d'Affaires, Embassy of Cuba. Is he here? Are you? I think he might not. Oh, it's okay. All right.
Siéntete libre de vivir experiencias únicas. En Cuba, todos los días son irrepetibles. Un país familiar, lleno de mejores recuerdos. Un lugar mágico. Regálame ese momento donde sientes que tu felicidad es lo primero del día. Este es un país con una rica herencia cultural, histórica. En sus calles se respiran vivencias, historias viejas y nuevas. Disfruta lo autóctono, lo desconocido. Viaja a tu niñez, a tu adolescencia, a tu país, al mío. La mesa cubana es una experiencia. Recuerda, un instante que jamás olvidarás. Paraíso tropical, lleno de vida, donde siempre hay un espacio para relajar, disfrutar del silencio, del tiempo en familia, de un momento contigo mismo. Cuba te recibe con los brazos abiertos. Somos una isla de verdes intensos y azules del sur que te invita a revelar nuevos espacios llenos de misterio, de belleza dispuesta a ser descubierta solo por mí, donde habitan los ríos más hermosos, las playas más cristalinas del mundo. Suelta todas las amarras, ven a Cuba y explora la plenitud. Cada sitio está listo para ti, cada aventura te espera. Entrégate al placer de tener una familia más. La adrenalina también tiene espacio. La diversión está garantizada y pensada para toda la familia, para compartir momentos que solo puedes vivir en Cuba. Cuba te espera. Vive su ritmo, su gente, su alegría. Respira el bienestar y la seguridad en cada rincón de la isla. Respira, Cuba.
Thank you. Dhanyavad. Good afternoon, everybody. Namaskar. Aapse milkar khushi hui, every one of you. Ambassador Anil Trigunayat, President of MIICCIA. Excellency J.V. Srinivas, Additional Secretary, Latin America and the Caribbean. Colleagues from the Diplomatic Corps, Excellencies of the Latin American and the Caribbean missions in India, and thanks to all of you for being present here. It's an honor that you have organized this event for Latin America and the Caribbean, and you have invited Cuba to be here, and it's an honor for me to be representing Cuba at this moment. I wanted to start with a video. It's not about business, it's about Cuba. It's not about business for you, it's about business for me because it's tourism at the end of the day. For two reasons. First, to give you a glance what Cuba is beyond media and so on, and beyond the data that you are going to receive during this PPT, that I will try to make it brief, but I'm not promise anything. And also because after all the amazing presentations for my colleagues here, I believe that you deserve a glimpse of a very good beach in the Caribbean waters. So that was the reason. So Cuba, land of opportunities. You have been heard during this morning excellence, reasons and arguments why to trade, visit and invest and engage with the Latin American and the Caribbean region. A lot of those reasons also applies in the case of Cuba. I believe that 1,400,000,000 country like India, opportunities and actors to be present in all the countries in the region out there. So it's quite possible for India at this moment and to the India industry to engage with all the countries of the Latin America and the region at the same level and at the same time. In the case of Cuba, I would like to highlight beyond what is in the PPT several factors that can make attractive for you to go there. First is security. It will be security of your business, of you during the moment to be in Cuba is going to be there. Secondly, this business environment, the legal environment that protects all kind of business that is done in Cuba, let's say trade or a foreign investment. And at the same time, also the warmth of the Cuban people that are more than welcome to receive India. We perhaps doesn't share, we have to have an Indian diaspora doesn't share values that came with the religion or Indian origin people in Cuba, but the friendship and the warmth is there, and the willing to do business with India, and the identification from the Cuban industry of the amazed opportunities that exist today at the moment to do business with India, that is there. Please, next. So, in the west part of Cuba, there is the special development zone of Mariel, that you can see in the map is very well connected with North America, Central America, South America, and also with Europe, by sea and also by air. In the case of Mariel, attached to that special development zone is the Mariel Port Terminal of Container. That is one of the most modern containers terminal in the world right now. In the special zone of Mariel, you receive better incentive for investments for business that is setting up in the Mariel. The taxation, a special regime for foreign investments that is all over Cuba is even more special in the Mariel port, and all the infrastructure facilities for setting up a business in Cuba in the Mariel are better. So it's a very good location, position area when the foreign companies are looking at in Cuba at the moment of thinking we're going to set up my business. Please go. Please. This is just one of the incentives in case of foreign investment in Cuba at this moment. So for mention some of them is no tax during the first 8 years of the investment all over the country, and 10 years in the special development zone. After that, you will pay a 25% on profit. This is tax on profit, what I'm speaking about. A 25%. The rest of the business in Cuba need to pay a 35%. So you have even an advantage on that. And at the moment of your investment, you don't need to also to pay any duties or taxes in terms of any exportation or importation that you need to do for setting up your business. Please. We have been developed across the year. There is across sectors. Just plus 700 projects is available in the website that is you can see on the screen, and then you can make a deeper search about any sector that you're interested in, from tourism to logistics to food industry to agriculture. The information is there, the data is there. You can make a search of the projects by location, by amount of the investment, and so on. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Come back, please. So, at the moment of speaking about India-Cuba economic relationship, so far I have just tried to give a very brief glance about what is there, and that, of course, that we are looking eagerly to foreign investment in our country for the development of our economy, and for that we have identified India and the Indian industry as a very valuable partner on that. But I would like you to focus on the sectors that are present more opportunities for the Indian industry at this moment. And one of them will be the renewable energy, the power sector, but especially the renewable energy sector. In Cuba, now we generate only 5%, or roughly 5% of our power from renewable energy sources. Our goal is to reach 100% of the power generation through renewable energy sources. And the immediate goal in 2030 is at least to have 37%. So we generate right now, we have an installing capacity close to 7,000 megawatts. And only 5% of that is through renewable energy sources. That means that the opportunities and the landscape for doing business in Cuba in the renewable energy are immense. You can do it for foreign direct investment in a solar park, in a wind farm, and so on. I will at the end mention some projects that we have developed with India right now. You can do it commissioning, putting in consignment, solar modules, batteries, and so on. And also, and that is very attached to this matrix, and for that also is a bigger industry growing in Cuba. We have already foreign direct investment in assembling facilities for EV cars, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and four-wheelers also. But still, there is a huge space in the market for investment and for presence of the Indian industry, and don't need to be directly in foreign investment right away. Even a consignment to put two-wheelers or batteries in the Cuban market will be also a very good way for the Indian industry at this moment to engage in this sector with the Cuban market. Please. Before go to this PPT, I would like to to this slide. I would like to highlight that at this moment we are developing 4 projects with India in the renewable energy sector. 3 of them with the support of the government of India through a line of credit with the Exim Bank. One of them is a very advanced, but 2 of them is a very early stage and are in solar solar power and in the biocogeneration plant. And at the same time, there is a foreign direct investment that is going on with the support of the International Solar Alliance and with the NTPC as PNC of that project. It's a project for 1,150 megawatts in Cuba plus 150 megawatts in battery storage systems. And we are doing that by several gradually e-tenders or e-bids. And the first of that for just 60 megawatt was launched just 1 month ago. The main advantage of this project, when you see to another ones that we have doing in Cuba in foreign direct investment, also is that for this project the government of Cuba has approved to give a sovereign guarantee for investment around 250 megawatts or more. Another sector that is when we have a lot of synergies is the biotechnological industry and the pharmaceutical industry. We've been having our history of relationship with India. We have had 2 joint ventures with Indian companies here. One with MIICCIA, I don't know if you know about them. They are at Delhi, and with Biocon, that is in Bangalore. Though that relationship have moved to a different kind of relation, but today, still Biocon produce 2 or 3 of our products using the Cuban-based technology, but manufactured here in India. India is well known as the pharmacy of the world. You all know that. The strength of the manufacturing capacity of India is superb. But in terms of research and development so far, and especially in the biotechnological sector, is less in the case of India. In terms of rates, in terms of percentage, our industry is quite strong in research and development, and is leading mainly with BioCuba Pharma, the main holding group of the sector in Cuba, who combines more than 32 companies. Please, next. This is one example of those companies, all of them commercial companies that make research and development, they manufacturing and then commercialize. They made the whole cycle. Please, next. This just example of our R&D, what I was mentioning to you. Please, continue. And this is an example of how strong we are in research and development. The only Latin America COVID vaccine, or vaccine against the COVID that developed by a Latin American country was Cuban one, and was not one, was 5 of them. Among those 5, 3 of them we use it to vaccinate 99% of our population above kids 2 years old. Right now, at the moment we stop it vaccinating because all of you know, all the Cuban population receive at least 5 shots of vaccines, 3 for a normal vaccination and 2 of them by shot. For booster doses. That is the example. That is what we are speaking about, that we are strengthening research and development. That is perhaps the most recently and more astonished example that I can offer to you today, plus another process that we have for fighting lung cancer with our own vaccine that we have developed for fighting the diabetes food with Everprop. So this is just a small example of what we have. So the potentiality to do business in these sectors in terms of trade, because we already import around the 50% of the raw materials, active pharmaceutical ingredients, and even final products that we use for our industry from India. So to increase that numbers, to go for investment, to make research and development, joint projects to manufacturing jointly here in India or in Cuba are big opportunities, big numbers. Please continue. Please continue. Move ahead. Another important sector is the food industry. And here I just wanted to highlight we manufacturing, we produce some foods in the food industry, some items that are very unique, like our tobacco, our beverage and spirits, the Cuban rum that is very famous and is what I'm making so famous, the Cuban mojito around the world. But here the opportunity for the Indian industry is more into the consignment model of business to export to Cuba. We are looking for diversify our supplies, for diversify the supply chain of foods to Cuba. And here the Indian food industry have a lot of advantages when you look to another markets. Just for example, we have just finalizing to import 100 million euros of rice from India, thanks to the facility of the government of India through Exim Bank line of credit. And now the companies who were involved in that commerce are looking for continue exporting to Cuba on a consignment basis. So this that we are doing with rice, that we are doing also with wheat flour and so on, we can do it with a lot of items in the food sector itself. Please go ahead. Continue. Yes, please continue. Move on. Move on. So another 2 sectors, and with that I'm going to end. One is the mining sector. When I just wanted to highlight that Cuba has the 5th largest reserve of nickel and cobalt around the world. Perhaps more of you are not note about that. when we make exports to Canada, to China, to Europe, and also we have joint venture with Canada companies in the mining sector, especially in the nickel one. And also Cuba is very close, what is called the lithium triangle in South America, comprised by, if I don't remember wrong, my colleagues can correct me, by Chile, Bolivia, and Peru. That makes Cuba a wonderful destination for setting up batteries, taking in consideration lithium plus nickel, or use our nickel for setting up manufacturing facilities of batteries in Cuba. And last but not least is the tourism. We are an 11 million population country. You already saw the main product that we have, that is beach, but it's not the only one. This is an example of the infrastructure that we have created for that. And we used to receive before COVID, pre-COVID times, almost 5 million visitors per year, 1 million of them from Canada. We already have an Indian company that is doing very well, who have 9 contracts of management and administration, is 9 hotels in different 9 hotels in Cuba. They were 6 1 year ago, and in the last year they increases to 9, with 5-star hotels and plus 5-star hotels. The name of the company is NGM Mutu. But it's also one of the examples that were explaining here of companies who are interacting with Latin America, and in this case with Cuba, from Indian origin, but not directly from India. In this case, from Portugal. So this is an example of the collaboration, cooperation, and business that we can make in tourism, not only building hotels, not only management hotels, but providing all kind of service to the industry, and also all kind of goods that is used in the industry in a different ways of made trade. With that, I would like to finalize my presentation. I already received a paper here that I only have 2 minutes for that, but I think I extend a little more than that. And I want one more time to thank all of you for your patience, for your kind attention, and let you know that the doors of our embassy and the way, me personally, we are open to interact with you at any moment for further questions, and also in the next 2 minutes, in the next minutes here in this event, about any query in order to go to Cuba, to have a presence to Cuba. And I deeply encourage you to go to Cuba to do business, but also to do some good tourism. So thank you so much for your attention, and namaskar, everybody.
Thank you so much, His Excellency, Mr. Abel. Ladies and gentlemen, we now go to Guyana. Well, it is mostly known for its pristine rainforests, sugarcane plantations, rich fields, bauxite and gold reserves. And of course, Guyana is known as the land of many waters, with the world's widest and longest single drop waterfall. And would request Mrs. Ronalda Edwards Horatio Charge d'Affaires, Republic of Guyana, for the next presentation.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, commissioners, ambassadors, diplomats. Thank you. Excellencies, high commissioners, ambassadors, diplomats, esteemed officials from the Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Commerce, the president and founder president of the MIICCIA, the business community, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. At the outset, I would like to express my appreciation to the MIICCIA for their invitation on this interaction, this very useful interaction this afternoon on exploring business opportunities in Latin America and Caribbean countries. My country, Guyana, is the only English-speaking country, and it is located on the northern coast of South America. Guyana is particularly an attractive investment destination, as it is ranked one of the fastest growing economies in the world, according to the IMF and the World Bank. Guyana is experiencing a transformative and exponential growth led by its rapidly expanding oil and gas sector. And it is on the verge of becoming the largest oil producing country in the world per capita, boasting more than 11 billion barrels of oil equivalent reserves. It is the most significant oil find in recent years. To the substance of my presentation this afternoon, why should Indian businesses, the Indian business community, invest in Guyana? I'll present you with 3 reasons why you should invest in Guyana. Guyana's favorable business environment. Guyana provides a conducive business environment for all investors. Guyana's investment platform is based on a democratic government, transparency and accountability, and a belief in family, faith, freedom, and a multi-ethnic, multicultural, and multi-religious society. Our free enterprise economic framework promotes a rapid and sustainable economic and social growth. Accordingly, the government of Guyana has embraced an investor-friendly and strong private sector position. To stimulate investments in Guyana, the government is offering a wide range of incentives, which include, these incentives range from exemptions in custom duty on most import and machinery and equipment, 0 rate of value-added tax on imports, and most importantly, full and unrestricted repatriation of capital, profits, and dividends. Corporate taxes are also removed completely from private education and private health sector, thereby promoting private investment in these sectors to complement the public health and educational sectors. Additionally, Guyana has an open foreign currency market, low inflation, and a stable financial system. The second reason why one should invest in Guyana is Guyana presents diverse opportunities for investment. The structure of Guyana's economy is relatively diverse. Guyana is rich in timber, gold, diamond, bauxite, manganese, sugar, and the tourism and agricultural opportunities are phenomenal. Guyana is endowed with a vast amounts of arable land, massive hectares of organic cropland, water resources, and we're blessed with favorable climatic conditions. Against this backdrop, the economic takeoff Guyana is experiencing has leapfrogged its growth and development, which has invariably spawned multiple opportunities for investment. Guyana is, however, not only hedging our future on the oil and gas sector, but we're also modernizing our traditional economic crops to ensure a more diversified and resilient economy. To this end, the opportunities for investors with a vision and a capacity to deliver are immense. Guyana is open for investment with a vast natural resources, a young, educated, and English-speaking population, stable and open financial markets, investment protection under the law, unrestricted repatriation of profits, duty-free access, equal treatment for both local and foreign investors. Opportunities are open for investment in the following areas: agriculture and agro-processing, manufacturing and oil and gas services, tourism, energy, forestry, mining, the ICT sector, the services sector, and construction and infrastructure. The third reason why you are invited to invest in Guyana is Guyana's geographical position promotes access to major markets and protects local and foreign investors. Guyana is a signatory to several multilateral, regional, and bilateral trade, investment, and economic agreements which facilitate access to key markets. These markets include the CARICOM market or the Caribbean Community, access to the Canadian market, access to the Brazilian market, access to the European market, and access to the US market. So those are the top 3 reasons why one should invest in Guyana. As it relates to some of the major areas or projects currently being undertaken for which we are open for investment, both private and public sector partnerships, these include infrastructure. Guyana is advancing a massive infrastructural development program, and we're building several new four-lane roads, bridges, and we've also undertaken a massive housing project that requires 50,000 new homes. So this is one of the sectors that is currently open for investment, the infrastructure sector. The second sector that is also available and poses opportunities for investment is the energy sector. We're all aware that energy is the driving force behind large-scale development projects in manufacturing and agro-processing. To this end, the government of Guyana is committed to reducing its energy cost by 50% by the year 2025. Accordingly, we've embarked on several major energy projects. Amongst them include a massive gas-to-shore project that will see the reduction of our electricity costs being reduced by 50% by the year 2025. There are also opportunities available for investment in solar farms, wind projects, and the hydropower project. So those are three other opportunities available in the energy sector for investment. On the ICT front, opportunities for investments are available in the BPO services, call centers, technology parks, medical records transcription, telecommunication services, and network management, software development, and data processing centers. On the agricultural front, or in the agricultural sector, Guyana, within the context of CARICOM, is leading a regional security agenda to reduce the region's food import bill by 25% by the year 2025. To achieve this, Guyana is collaborating with several regional partners and charting the way forward to promote new investments in this sector. The areas open for investment in the agricultural sector include aquaculture and seafood processing, hydroponics farming, mega farms, corn and soybean production, agricultural technology, aquaculture, large-scale cattle ranching, pig rearing, large-scale integrated farms, value-added coconut, and dairy plants. On the tourism front, Guyana's pristine forests, dozens of breathtaking waterfalls, majestic mountains, spectacular makes it an ideal location for investment in eco-lodges, eco-resorts, sports entertainment complex, theme parks, golf course, etc. In conclusion, Guyana is an excellent jurisdiction for investors. Guyana is well known outside its territories as a business-friendly destination, as incentives and protections for investors. Guyana's comparative advantage lie in the fact that it is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. It presents a rich resource base, a multi-sector investment opportunities, operational cost, an ideal location to access markets. It offers numerous fiscal incentives for investments. It has a private sector focused government and is complemented by its diverse culture and heritage. To conclude my presentation, I invite you to view a very short clip that sums up the opportunities available for investment in Guyana.
Opportunities for the investor range from energy, oil and gas, agriculture inclusive of fresh fruits and vegetables, and agriculture such as fish and other seafood, infrastructure, mining, forestry, the production of wood and wood products, manufacturing, ICT technology, trade and export, tourism, and services.
Guyana has taken off, and I invite you to come soar with us. I thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Edwards Horatio. When you think of culture, history, and stunning beauty, you think of beaches, golden sands, crystal clear waters, lush jungles across the coastline, and of course, it is renowned for its diverse and flavorful cuisine. Ladies and gentlemen, I now welcome Mr. Ricardo Dan Delgado Munoz, Head Economic and Commercial Affairs, Embassy of Mexico.
Hello. Nice pronunciation about Mexico. Mexico. We certainly share a lot of cultural things. So for us, being here is really delight. As Ambassador Anil Trigu Nayat mentioned, Ambassador Salas, the ambassador of Mexico to India, right now is in Goa, participating in the fourth tourism working group meeting and also the tourism ministerial meeting. So I would like to say that right now Mexico and India are in a really honeymoon relationship because the former foreign minister of foreign affairs already visited India twice in the last 2 years. This is a very unique thing because Mexico and India were not that close, but in our heart, India is very close to us. So I think this is a major step for foreign minister to come here. He participated in the foreign minister G20 meeting on March. We have been collaborating with Indian startups and also following up on about this agenda. So I know we're already in our lunchtime, so I will be really brief about the India-Mexican relationship to focus on these areas that could be opportunities for import, export, and also to make investments between Mexico and India. So first of all, I would like to highlight that for Mexico, India is our 10th largest trading partner. And for India, we're one of the main trading partners in Latin America. Sometimes we compete this position with Brazil, but we're definitely there in the top 5 destinations. Also, there's a huge footprint of Indian companies that are already settled in Mexico and they're thriving. They're actually expanding their operations. You might know a few of these famous names, TCS, that just opened a new office in the northern part of Mexico that is called Monterrey. Also, some pharma, Oflex, also expanding new factories in Mexico. So if you establish in Mexico, you will definitely want to one-time operation. I'm pretty sure you will expand your operations because as a market, we are the 15th largest economy in the world. And also we have a huge population. I'm talking about 130 million people in Mexico. Most of our people are a very young population. Half of the population is 29 years old, just like our crowd here. So all these opportunities can actually be expanded in Mexico. And also Mexican investment in India is a pretty huge thing. So we don't have many companies. We have a bunch of 10 companies settled here in India. But I would like to say that they are like the biggest key players in the Mexican economy and also internationally. I'm pretty sure you have heard about Cinepolis. Cinepolis is this cinema theater company that it was actually international cinema company that entered into the India market. If you go to the Saket Mall, you definitely besides the famous PBR, you can actually find theaters about Cinepolis. I'm really proud to say that it's a Mexican company that is located in India, and they're expanding themselves not only in Delhi, also in the south of India and other major parts of the country. Also, Bimbo is one of the largest bread companies in the world, and it's Mexican and is located here in India. You might not have heard about Bimbo per se as a name, but maybe you have heard about Harvest Gold. So this Harvest Gold, famous bread brand in India, Bimbo acquired like 100% of the participation of the company to enter to the Indian market, because Bimbo, when it actually goes abroad, it actually brings all the products. But here in India, the perspective was kind of different. They also bring their products, but they also wanted to merge with big, famous local brands to actually have like a kind of Indian Mexican combination, and they are pretty successful. Also, one company that is called MIICCIA, that is like an entertainment park for kids. You can bring your kids to all to the facilities of MIICCIA to learn about the skills or the job opportunities in the future. So, for example, if a kid wants to be a firefighter, he can actually go to MIICCIA and have like a 1 day experience of what can be this kind of service, policeman, scientists. It's a pretty huge thing in Mexico. Actually, I remember when I was little, I used to go there to learn more about science, politics. So I was pretty shocked when I heard that it was located here, and it's a huge thing. So these are just examples that India and Mexico relationship can be both ways. You can actually invest in the Mexican economy based on the benefits that we provide to international companies, given our wide range of 14 free trade agreements. You can actually hit the Mexican market, but you can also go to the North American market, a Latin American market, and so on. But also Mexican companies are looking into India to expand their businesses and collaborate with you. There are three main sectors that I would like to highlight as new areas of opportunity. Around 60% of our exports traditionally from Mexico to India were oil or petrochemicals. So right now we're trying to diversify, because we are also one of the largest agro producers and agro exporters in the world. We're a huge producer of tequila, avocado, berries, beer, and I think there will be a huge market here in India to expand our business here. Also, there's an opportunity for Mexican businesses to import millets. I know right now millets. Right now is the International Year of Millet, and also within the G20 framework, India is pushing this millets initiative. So I'm pretty sure in Mexico there will be a lot of interest to know more about this ancestral product from your part. Also, the import of advanced manufacturing machinery from the agro sector. Also, the IT. In Mexico, we have more than 500 startups dedicated to the IT sector. And they are really thriving. And given that our economies and our business models are pretty similar, we want to like go to Mexico and experience what will be your business expansion into the North American market, maybe you can go first to Mexico, and given that we have a free trade agreement with the US and Canada, you have a free tariff situation that you can actually export your products from Mexico to the US. And well, finally, given one of the results of the outcomes of the former foreign minister's visit last March was the collaboration for finance and investigation of the new industries, of the new areas. Our development agency in Mexico with CSIR, they signed an agreement to investigate more about the lithium. I don't know if you're aware of it, but Mexico has the 10th largest reserve of lithium in the world. It has just recently been discovered. So I think we can collaborate a lot in this particular sector, also because it's part of the future of the electromobility. So one part of this agreement was lithium, also biotechnology, and also research about cancer. That is a very important thing for us to combat cancer using the technology that has been developed here in India, and I think it could be really successful in Mexico. So from the Embassy of Mexico that we're here located in India, in Delhi, we open our doors, and we will be more than delighted to follow up any inquiry from your regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Munoz. We now travel to Panama. You're chasing waterfalls, coffee tasting in bouquets, snorkeling in the bocas. I'd like to tell you that Panama is home to the world's first intra-oceanic railroad linking the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean. I would like to welcome Ms. Annabelle Chavez, Commercial Head Embassy of Panama, for the next presentation, please. She's not here? Ladies and gentlemen, we now proceed to the next country, which is Peru. I would like to call upon Mr. Luis Cabello, Commercial Head Embassy of the Republic of Peru, for the next presentation, please. A huge round of applause. And of course, I had just written something and please.
Good afternoon. Very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you very much to the organizers for inviting us to talk about our Latin American and Caribbean companies. Before I start my presentation, I want to know how many of you have visited Latin America or the Caribbean countries? Okay. Not all, just one. Okay. How many of you are exporters? Great. How many of you want to invest in Latin American and the Caribbean countries? Just because I want to know who is going to listen to me. That way I will... That's it. I want to know exactly what I will talk about tourism, but that is not the only thing that I want to talk about. I know that, I mean, in the last question, how many people want to have lunch? I'm so sorry, yeah. I'm also hungry, yeah. Okay, let's start my presentation. Thank you very much for your patience. Yeah, my name is Luis Cabello. I'm the Trade Consular of Peru in India. I am living here for more than 9 years, almost a decade. I am almost an Indian, part of that. Okay, next, please. Do you have a remote control or no? Okay, please help me. Okay, this is gonna be my presentation. I will do it in less than 10 minutes, and as you may understand, it's quite difficult for somebody to talk about a country in less than 10 minutes. Also including a video that I'm sure that you will like. Okay, next, please. Peru is an amazing country. I'm not going to say that we are number one in everything. We are. But the idea is to show you some information, to give you some information about Peru. We are rich in flora, in fauna. Peru is located in the western part of South America. The borders are in the north, Colombia and Ecuador, east, Brazil, south, Bolivia, Brazil, and the Pacific Ocean in the west. Our main language, as you may understand, Spanish. Our currency, sol, that means sun in English, more or less is 21 rupees per sol. And we are 10 and a half hours behind India time. Peru is the third largest country in Latin America, in South America, and our population is of about 35 million people. That's almost what you have in Assam. Okay, please. Our country is divided in three main regions that I will tell you if you want. Okay. Our country has three main regions. The desert, that represents almost 11% of our territory. Please, next. The highlands, that is almost 30% of our territory. That mountains give us the reason why we are one of the main mining countries in the world. And the third, but not the less important, is the rainforest region. Okay, 60% of our territory is jungle. Next, please. Today, I want to introduce you to Peru. But first, let me tell you some trivia, okay? Did you know that Lima is the only capital in South America facing the sea, sorry. And we are very well known because of what? Of our gastronomy, as well as Indians. And we love to eat good food. In morning time, we're going to have for lunch. During lunch, what we're going to have for dinner. And I'm sure that all of you during the night will ask, and what for tomorrow? Exactly the same in Peru. I am proud to tell you something very important for me, because the news came to us few hours back. Central, a restaurant in Lima, in Peru, has been nominated by 50 best restaurants in the world, the best restaurant in the world. Okay. The origin of the Amazon River, next please, is in Peru. You know, it starts in the central part of Peru and runs up to Brazil. It's almost a river of 6,500 kilometers. Okay, sometimes 48 kilometers with, sometimes especially during rainy season. You have your Taj Mahal, we have Machu Picchu. Yes, amazing place to visit. Okay, it's as well as that, it's one of the new seven wonders. But Peru has more than that. Okay, look, as well as you have more than 5,000 years of civilization, Peru has. Okay, that's Caral, maybe the beginning of the civilization in Latin America. Next, please. Arrived to Peru. Okay, but before that, we have more than 500 cultures. Next, please. Potatoes. Okay, wait a minute. Potatoes. All of you love potatoes, yes or no? Yeah, it's part of your cuisine, it's part of your gastronomy. Okay, let me tell you something. Peru was the first place that potatoes were domesticated. We have, and listen to me please very carefully, we have more than 4,000 varieties of potatoes. Thank you very much. 3,000 or more, 3,000 varieties of quinoa. But talking about potatoes, remember that the origin of potato belongs to, next please, remember that when you eat your samosas or your alotiki. Okay, again, 3,000 varieties of quinoa, 150 varieties of chilies, and more than 50 varieties of corn. Cocos in Peru, amazing. I mean, we have, I don't like to say that maybe the best, but maybe the best, yes, cocos in the world. And I know that all of you like to eat chocolate, as well as coffee. Look, we don't have that conventional coffee that many countries have. We have one of those special coffees that I want you to try once, at least once. There is one variety of coffee in Peru that grows in the southern highlands, close to the rainforest. Okay, 1 kg of that coffee could cost you $1,500 US. 1,500. You want some? I can take you some. Okay, great. Next, Peru is one of the best diverse countries. Okay, we have a lot of ecological sites and many places to visit. Please. Okay, look, this is a position of some of our products worldwide. Okay, number one in fresh blueberries, quinoa, fresh asparagus, coloring lakes, and fresh grapes. And the list is that you can read the list later. Please, next. This is the situation of our reserves. Silver, number one. Copper, number three. Lead, number four, and etc. Next, please. Talking about the mining sector, okay, the position of Peru, number two in the world, talking about copper, and seventh in gold. Gold, remember that? Gold, very important for you, yes or no? Yeah. But, okay, I will tell you something about the gold and the business between India and Peru about that. Next, please. This is the trade balance of Peru and India. Sorry, but since maybe 7 years back, Peru surpasses the export of India to Peru. Okay, we have a surplus. Okay, so we are exporting more than what India is exporting to us. But let me tell you something. Maybe those numbers are not correct. Why? Because you are buying a lot of Peruvian gold from Switzerland and also from another country in Latin America. I'm not going to tell you which one. Okay, Peru these are the products that we are exporting to India. As you mentioned, gold is one of the first. Next, please. And this is what you are exporting to Peru. You are very well known in Peru because of what? Automobiles, tuk-tuks, two-wheelers, and why not Bollywood? Peru is a fan of Bollywood maybe since before the 70s. I remember that when I was a kid, there was two cinemas, City Hall and Metropolitan, two cinemas in Lima that always from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., I mean, all day long, offers you only Indian movies. Okay, so Shah Rukh Khan is very well known in my country. Next, please. Okay, talking about investment, and I will talk about this part. I mean, in just few minutes. After the crisis caused by the pandemic, Peru has recovered our financial and our economical situation. Next, please. Okay, look, this is how we are recovering. And we are receiving a lot of foreign investments. Next, please. The attributes why we are receiving a lot of money from abroad is because we have a resilient, our government, resilient economy. Our government really facilitates business, and we have a diverse country. Next, please. Look, next, please. What I want to tell you is inflation is under control. Next, we have, let me tell you a good situation in our region. Plus, next, please. We have a lot of trade agreements. We are right now negotiating. I mean, we have sent just a letter to the Ministry of Commerce here just to continue the negotiation of a trade agreement with India. It's not going to be a free trade agreement, but it's going to be a trade agreement. Next, please. Look, 90% of our exports, okay, are sent to countries with trade agreement with Peru. Next, please. Okay, next. Let's continue. Okay, wait a minute. I am not here to talk about what we are going or we want to export to India because you are not importers. I cannot talk about what you can send to Peru. Yeah, but we are allowed to receive. We want to receive products from abroad. Why? Because that will make us competitive. We will never close the door to any kind of investment or to any kind of products. Because in that way, our production, our economy, we will also improve. So please, I invite you to visit Peru, to do business in Peru, and before you go for lunch, let me show you a video. It's about tourism. Wait a minute, I will tell you the GDP. Yeah, okay. $200 million. Please go ahead. Houston, we have a problem. Okay, just let me finish my presentation saying this. Knowing that you are not importers, that you're not investors, and you want to export produce to Latin America, okay, my suggestion is please use your embassies in our countries. They have that as part of our duties. As we, in my case, I'm the trade consul of Peru in India, I have to promote Peruvian export to India, Indian investment to Peru, as well as I have to help Peruvian companies doing business here. And why not? I have to promote my tourism. Thank God India is fantastic for us. Okay, why? Because you are maybe one of the best in the largest, in the, I don't know how to say, what to say about India, but that is something that I talk to Peru. Look, India will grow in an amazing way. These years to come are the Indian years. Okay, so please visit Peru, visit Latin America, and do business with all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that great presentation, Mr. Cabello. And now I would request the president of MIICCIA and to sign the MOU with the president of CIMSME. Could I have the president's of applause, please? Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you. I would now request the president of MIICCIA to sign the MOU with the president of IETO, please. The president of IETO. Could I have you on the stage, sir? Signing the MOUs. President of MIICCIA with the president of IETO. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I now request the president of MIICCIA to sign the MOU with the president of CEE. May I have the president of CEE on the stage, please? The lady in white. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. Thank you to both of you. Could I have Ambassador Amarendra Khatwaji for the vote of thanks, please? Vote of thanks, sir. That cannot be, we cannot wrap up without the vote of thanks.
Everybody is hungry. It's too late. Señores embajadores y diplomáticos, on behalf of MIICCIA, I'm thanking you. And for the business people, there are three most important things that everybody has forgotten to tell you, that whenever you are going to Latin America or Caribbean countries, think about stock and sales, stock and distribution, and processing in the export processing zones of India or Latin America, and guide you. Thank you, the best.